My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. It is currently, just get the time right now, it's Friday, July 24, 2026. It's 9:12 a.m. This is analytical evidence with regard to, so this is above and beyond documenting the pattern of conduct. This is giving you analysis. This is scientifically relevant evidence regarding the impossibility of the environment where you are witnessing surveillance, and it is the prosecution of domestic terrorists who are disguising themselves as law enforcement while Chevron is gang stalking. Chevron, the legal fiction itself, I'm prosecuting the company, the logo. all right, the corporation, and I'm also prosecuting the people of the state, which is what Chevron is as well, okay? This is the P.O.C. This is in reference to the video captured yesterday evening at the same address at 7:27 p.m. Omnitrans is gang stalking. They're also doing so in this video that I'm capturing after 7, where Omnitrans on this side of the road, you'll hear me pulling out impossible light activity. Omnitrans is targeting while I'm in this video across the street at the same address, 159 South Euclid Avenue in Upland, California. P.O.C. Chevron, which is located at 159 South Euclid Avenue. That is gang stalking, as I captured the fake sun in the evening of the current time, by the way. It's 7:21 p.m. So you'll recall the evidence of the Upland Police Department engaging in criminal summoning at this same Chevron. So this is evidence of what is targeting. The entity that is engaging in federal stalking is engaging in the pattern of conduct, including while you make purchases using communication devices, using electronic devices. The entity is engaged in what is targeting by blocking the ability to make a purchase, which is also the entity that's engaging in what is discrimination while you are engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's also analogous to like locking me out of the store like Wendy's is while they're gang stalking. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct under the fake sun. There are no malfunctions. They don't have malfunctions of technology. The entities engaging in that P.O.C. and it is under all circumstances. I just want to be clear. For example, when you are purchasing using everything you're seeing in this video, this is a demon, and they're stalking with light. Everybody documented all the license plates I captured. They're going to prison because the entity engaged in terrorism, including then helicopter activity, which is adding on to the intent of gang stalking in the first place, psychological torture, threatening conduct regarding the entity that is conspiring or murder by gang stalking in the first place. And I documented all those terrorists, and they're all going to federal prison, including the employee that is working under a fake sun. That is Chevron, the employees, the state engaging in public corruption, which you're never supposed to suspect or recognize because you're not supposed to know that everybody and everyone is living and working and existing and traveling and remaining, stalking, that is, under the fake sun where surveillance is underway. Government assistance such as the EBT card. A means of discrimination would be something such as, instead of stating what they can't say, we don't want to accept EBT customers. You have what is failure of technology while you are engaged in that pattern of conduct. And the ongoing confirmation is the entity doing the exact same thing they did on the morning that Upland Police were stalking under the fake sun, which is stalking by helicopter. That's what you're looking at now. And this is the entity that's engaged in this under the fake sun. And while this is the entity that is providing evidence of the fact that Chevron, that is the entity that's being federally prosecuted, is engaged in what is unlawful discrimination while you are engaging in the pattern of conduct, gang stalking, and furtherance of murder on top of that. And the clerk inside is... So this is the entity that's engaging in this under the fake sun, which is setting while I'm at the Chevron that I'm looking at right now, the Chevron that is gang stalking me in relevant position while the people are molesting with impossible light. 9 Paul Edward Nancy 716 is stalking and is intentionally stalking in an environment conducive to that in the city of Upland, where they're doing so in the city of Ontario as well. And what else happened after the entities engaged in this act of terrorism, stalking me, discriminating with regard to the inability to use an EBT card? That's a means of discriminating against EBT card users. It's the alternative to stating, we don't want you using your EBT card here. And remember, the people of the state are not the standard because they have other EBT card customers who are the people of the state. That is how they establish what is supposed to be not the any means of targeting. That's exactly what is the evidence of targeting. And this is the conclusive evidence of it. They don't have any malfunctions with regard to targeting someone under that fake sun. This is where the entity is stalking by helicopter, and the entity is doing so 3 additional times. All right, they're doing so at what is the Ovid Family Community Library, which is what this is, while you're looking at Chevron that's being prosecuted for it. Following me by helicopter, which is what Chevron is engaging in terrorism. All right, that is the entity that is stalking me again by helicopter at 9:08 p.m. And Chevron is engaging in the pattern of conduct while I am subject to gang stalking by helicopter as I document the domestic terrorist Chevron and the people of the state, all the ways in which this entity is engaged in what is criminal surveillance in an environment that is readily identifiable, now brought to your attention. The entity doing so again at 9:24 p.m. where Chevron is engaging in that pattern of conduct at Ovid Family Community Library.
You're looking at the people stalking with the entity stuck by helicopter. It's P.O.C. And it's 9:24. This is the entity that is engaging in
That's the entity that's gang stalking, just like they are at Chevron, from city to city, location to location, sharing in that pattern of conduct, which they're all monitoring now. This is surveillance. Let me show you what they're doing. Metrolink's being prosecuted. Using the train station as a means of the pattern of conduct. It's 9:18 a.m. Metrolink is gang stalking under the fake sun, and Metrolink's going to be prosecuted. That's the Southern California Railway Authority. That's LA County. That's gang stalking. Doing so using Metrolink. This is all facilitation. Doing so while they are, but Metrolink is also documented targeting, using their, doing on schedule and off of schedule outside targeting, while Union Pacific also uses that that rail line to engage in targeting under the fake sun. After 7 p.m., using that train line and the fake sun still over me in the morning, that's the train line used as a means of monitoring, which is what the corporation that's being targeted right now, with evidence showing how they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. And they do so while the demon-possessed are gang stalking at the gas stalls, gang stalking going inside of that Chevron that's filled with engineer light, gang stalking while the entity is targeting me with the inability to use my EBT card, which is also a basis of discrimination. Gang stalking is discrimination in the first place by the government. All right, but I'm also going to prosecute because the entity is engaging in what is seeking, in other words, to keep me from shopping here by saying, oh, it's a failure, your EBT card won't work, and I'm going to prosecute for that. That's a creative means of prosecuting you while they're engaged in targeting in all manner of ways, including in this video right now. This video right here. Metrolink's being prosecuted. This is how this analysis is operating, as you'll pay attention to that. And remember, the entity has the fake sun over me here at 7, being stalked by helicopter here, as I document at the Ovid Family Community Library, being stalked by helicopter while I'm documenting, and the entity is stalking by the Ontario Police Department. The entity that's engaging in what is stalking by helicopter, standing in an effeminate manner with a gun on your hip and a badge on your waist, while I'm at public property that does not have a time where I have to leave, but it doesn't matter, because I'm living outside, because the Ontario Police, because the city of Upland, because the U.S. military are targeting in cons with the people of the state, and they're engaging in this conduct, stalking me by helicopter all day long, following around, engaging in what is kidnapping on Monday, July 13, 2026, and then engaging in what is a threat to my safety while you are targeting with what is not security. He's going to prison, and so are the gang stalkers, while you're bearing a gun on your hip and a badge on your waist as though you have authority that you do not. The entities engaging in this with regard to what is stalking also by helicopter, as I am engaged in publishing evidence that they are criminally keeping under surveillance while they are in fact gang stalking, and I publish that evidence online where this entity is maintaining ongoing monitoring, surveillance in furtherance of murder. This is the P.O.C. This is what is relevant behind the fake sun being over me at what is 9:20 in the morning and at 7:20 in the evening, where you are not engaging in anything other than what I'm going to prosecute you for. The failure of my EBT card is the ongoing criminal discrimination while you're gang stalking and furtherance of murder. And that's the corporation, that's its employees, that's its customers as you prosecute that company, and that's the entity that's gang stalking as the people of the state. While you hear that horn, that's Metrolink that's targeting and comes with criminal summoning, which is letting you know that they are targeting as well. They're all going to prison. So let me show you who this is. That's Metrolink that's targeting with the city of Upland, okay? That's the P.O.C. The entity engaging in criminal summoning and stalking by amplified audible activity by Metrolink. The entities engaging, the mentally ill that operate American Medical Response are engaging in that, and this is exacerbating. It's increasing charges and damages, and AMR is going to cease to be engaged in targeting with the state of California, because that's what they're doing. This is the fake sun at the Chevron as I'm capturing, and everybody's license plate is sharing in that pattern of conduct while they are gang stalking now, and the entities engaging in criminal summoning as I'm documenting them. 23652J4. This is the exact criminal conduct that they're sharing it, and it's a basis of federal prison while I document them. This is the P.O.C. The entities engaging in this, as I documented in the video evidence.
Device and monitoring this evidence engages in what is that Title 18 pattern of stalking in a helicopter.
This entity that's engaged in criminal summoning with AMR and Chevron and Metrolink is the entity that's going to federal prison. All these license plates gang stalking with the military by helicopter last night, and they're gang stalking now. Okay, this is the P.O.C.
This is the pattern of conduct. Everybody in this video is subject to prison. License 9YUK 119. License 7AGC 444. This is the entity that is gang stalking. These are two white males. Gang stalking operating what is a commercial vehicle. Core is a gang stalking company. I'm going to prosecute them. And the third parties operating the vehicle are also third parties that are going to be subject to prosecution as well. License, I'll get that license plate in a minute. Ripping off the paper plate. This is the entity that's engaging what is obstruction. This is federal prison. Engaging federal stalking right in front of you as well. That's federal prison. This is the license plate. California 981364, and that's license 31578 Charlie 4. Molestation via impossible light activity while on the trails is across the street. They're going to be committed. Everything that they're doing is going to be used against them. And this is the entity that's engaged in that pattern. The entity is engaged in what is harassment while they're being documented as well. This is that fake sun at 7, and this is the light source at 9:20, where AMR and Metrolink are engaged in the P.O.C. and Upland Police are engaged in criminal summoning at the top of the street. They're monitoring while the entity is monitoring this evidence, and this is what they're doing in Upland, California. Marcelo Blanco is being prosecuted for the ongoing terrorism by helicopter as I'm documenting, which they are engaging in right now as a department. This is the P.O.C. Corporate entities are being prosecuted, and you are being prosecuted as a corporation while you're making money, gang stalking with the people, while you are paying employees that are gang stalking. You are being federally prosecuted as a corporation, and then your employees, everyone that is documented, is subject to a federal prosecution as well. They're all third parties, including that corporation. This is the entity that's gang stalking. This is Chevron at 159 South Euclid Avenue, and this is that ongoing confirmation about exactly what is documented on video. That Chevron is gang stalking, and its discrimination with regard to the inability to use an EBT card, especially while they are gang stalking. The entity that engages in that is speaking to what is damages that's going to cause these companies to cease to exist. Chevron is a threat to the public, while Chevron is gang stalking me, and I'm subject to terrorism. As you can see, continues into the city of Ontario, where the entity is engaged in monitoring as documentation is uploaded. That's what American Medical Response is engaging in. That's why the mentally ill, that's why terrorists should not operate ambulances. That's what Metrolink is engaged in. That's why the mentally ill, that's why terrorists should not be operating train lines, which is what Metrolink and Union Pacific and Amtrak represent. All documented state and third-party actors engaged in this P.O.C. This is the fake sun at 9:25 a.m. You're mindful of what Upland Police Department are doing. They're gang stalking, as I'm referencing in the video last night. They're gang stalking by criminal summoning at this corner. They're gang stalking by criminal summoning at 8th Street and Euclid Avenue. They're gang stalking on another instance I'm documenting at Arco as well. And this is the entity that's going to be disbanded for it. They're mentally ill. Those are demons stalking and calling themselves, again, a police department. They are not. This is that P.O.C., and I'm also prosecuting the corporate entity. It is currently 9:26 a.m. This is the entity monitoring when they have already lost and engaging in terrorism and getting away with it. P.O.C. This is criminal facilitation. This is a vagina monitor, stalking with AMR, stalking with Metrolink, making a purchase. That's a federal RICO case. The entity's engaged in this while creating light activity. The entity's engaged in what is light activity while they're pacing around me at the law offices of Mark Grossman, where the entity's keeping the fake sun in the evening, where you are stalking with light, which is the outward demonstration of mental illness. It's also the criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder. It's also criminal facilitation. This is why they're going to prison for this, and IHOP is being prosecuted. License 7KSD 987 is gang stalking with IHOP, who is also the corporation that's being prosecuted because they're making money while the corporation is engaging in the pattern of conduct. The corporation's engaging in the pattern of conduct while the fake is over me at that venue where AMR is gang stalking, and everybody that works there and everybody that is being a consumer is doing so in order to gang stalk, and then you're stalking with impossible light. These are demons. 9WNJ515, that's federal prison, specifically confinement in a mental institution. 9ZHD914, that is the evidence of mental illness, severe mental illness, stalking with light. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct in any manner. I'm delivering a package. That's how the courier is engaged in it while they're under the fake sun, stalking in the path, which is occurring under that fake sun. This is the P.O.C. It's 9:35 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me in different cities while it's over me at the same street. Upland Public Library is up here. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me while the entity is in the evening stalking by helicopter at the 7-Eleven. This is the same corner. This is the same street. This is the P.O.C. 9CKE588 8ERG095. This is stalking on the roads and the highways. And this entity is engaged in monitoring, just like I documented feet over here at Chevron, where the fake sun was over me at 7:20 last night. This is indeed the pattern of conduct, and this is identification of the demons that we're monitoring on video while Metrolink was crossing path. They're all inside of the restaurant, making money as employees. Not a lot of money, but they're still profiting from the criminal activity. That's why they're getting their pockets exhausted. That's why they're losing those profits. This is public corruption, and the corporate actors are making money from public corruption, and they shall not keep those funds. The entity is also engaged in criminal activity, IHOP targeting, while you're going to prosecute literally the legal fiction itself, and you're also going to prosecute the people of the state that are consumers and employees while they are traveling, stalking with IHOP. 7XQS489 is serving to prosecute while the entity keeps the fake son over me, and so on and so forth, because the law officer Mark Grossman is sharing in the exact same legal analysis, the pattern of conduct, and you are unfit to practice law while you are a gang stalking terrorist, and that's exactly what you are, while the impossible is over your law office, which you are not ignorant about. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:36 a.m. This is P.O.C. with regard to the pattern of conduct, the entity that was stalking by helicopter. It includes all of this entity. This is all of the entity. And I'm documenting those that are going to federal prison for it. I'm documenting license plates, and the entity is going to be subject to that pattern of conduct. The entity is stalking by commercial planes. There's no airport, there's no commercial airlines in Upland. And this is letting you know that is indeed a domestic terrorist engaging in the pattern of conduct. And that's the purpose of stalking with light activity. And this is surveillance on the roads and the highways. License JT903. This is an old white man. License plate TJ903. This is the entity gang stalking. All right, and that's the entity doing so while I'm at the Ovid Library and by helicopter, and the entity's flying over my head and then engaging what is targeting me by asking me, or excuse me, actually ordering me to leave when you don't have authority, and you also don't have authority because of surveillance. And the Ontario Police and Upland Police are being disbanded for this. And the corporate entities, as you see how this operates, they're being federally prosecuted. And this is your notice. My documentation while the entity's threatening my life and you are threatening my life, this is your notice that you are being federally prosecuted and you do not have a defense. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:37 a.m. All right, the entity that's being documented by license plate is the entity that's engaging in a massive sex act together. These are sex offenders that are stalking as one, and they're also engaging in what is sexual assault and battery. This is the sex offense committed by that entity that is conspiring murder by virtue of gang stalking, by virtue of the public corruption that they are sharing in. This is every business establishment. This is every third party documented by license plate. They're all sex offenders that are sharing in that sex act, committed without the consent and typically without the knowledge of an American citizen that's being targeted. While they are demons molesting you with impossible light, they are engaging in what is an unlawful touching based on their obsession and their criminal pattern of conduct, which is serving to violate your privacy, also keeping your genitalia under surveillance. This is what the entity is doing at 188 North Euclid Avenue. This is the P.O.C. These license plates are sharing in that sex act, and this is the entity that's going to be prosecuted. The legal fiction, the logos, the companies are being prosecuted as sex offenders as well. And this is what an entity is typically practicing, as I've always documented this, stalking with light. This is what the mentally ill engage in while they are hostile, retaliating upon documentation. And you're engaging in retaliation because you are monitoring. And the corrupt businesses like IHOP, like Chevron, are being federally prosecuted as sex offenders. This is the P.O.C. It is also evidence of mental instability. And this is a population that shares in that mental instability, which is also the basis for martial law. 7-Eleven is engaging in sexual assault and battery under a fake son over me, while all of its employees that are also engaging in poisoning are under this fake until evening as I walk down the same street. And it's the stalkers, the sex offenders of the United States Postal Service, which you already know that. They are under the fake son ceremonially, okay? At the 7-Eleven, and they will regret that, but this is what the and I document it, and then they later see what was going on, and these are idiots that are then regretful. But these are creatures that operate United States Postal Service vehicles and wear their uniforms that represents the federal government. There is a severe penalty for gang stalking as USPS that is engaged in every step of this ongoing conspiracy to murder and steal my identity and my wealth, which is aiding and co-conspirators like Tracy Banks and Jason Fields, who have been leading and taking my life, and which is why you have sex offenders like 8 Edward Paul 727 gangs California under the fake son sharing in the massive sex act committed by a government and a population engaging in that pattern of conduct, which is an egregiously violent sex offense. All right, these are sex offenders being prosecuted and identified and being published in real time so that you know the identity of sex offenders, and that it's going on their record. They're being prosecuted as such. I do a public service and right now. P.O.C. It is license AM 538. These are sex offenders. The demon-possessed are sex offenders. The demon-possessed give birth to children who are also sex offenders. They're monitoring children are sex offenders, keeping you and your genitalia under surveillance. And they do so as little bitty babes that are demon-possessed. They are monitoring you. Okay, they are very much a threat to national security and your privacy, engaging in inhumane, criminally and sexually violent behaviors designed to keep you under surveillance. And it is also operating under corporate entities such as 7-Eleven, 9TBS 731, P.O.C. The employees are going to prison. That's what this is. They're all going to prison. So the entity has Pablo, and you have what is Bonquisha, and you have what is every gang stalking business. There is no race. There is no age bracket. They're engaged in that, and the employees are going to prison under all circumstances, non-negotiable. While the entity is gang stalking. P.O.C. Omnitrans stalking license 1302444.
while a demon gets off of the bus. And you know what they're doing when they get off on the bus? I've already documented. They're gang stalking. It's the people of the state driving the bus, the people of the state getting on and off the bus, monitoring me under a fake sun, which is also a basis to remove that transit line from existence, because they are a threat to the public. They're not actually consumed with business. They're consumed with monitoring, and they will kill themselves and other people in order to engage in that, especially when they are exposed and humiliated like what the P.O.C. provides. That's why they go out of their way in sort of minding their business and making money. Omnitrends is monitoring me and stalking me. And that is a basis to remove a business like that that's a threat to you. You're that concerned, you're overly concerned about one person for what? All right, this is the entity that's engaging in acts of terrorism. Okay, this is why they crash planes. This is why they engage in what is criminal acts of terrorism, and then misleading the public propaganda with regard to it being an accident to be investigated. The gang stalking police aren't investigating anything. The people of the state aren't accidentally doing anything under the fake sun. They're not ignorant. They're monitoring spirits. They're not only aware, they're stalking and monitoring obsessively. They know what's around them. They're engaging in acts of terrorism on the roads and the highways. They're not having car accidents. They're doing to the fake sun that is over me. And you know that it remains over me because when I walk down this same street in the evening, where Omnitrans, 7-Eleven, Chevron, IHOP are gang stalking with the people of the state, they're engaging in this while that is speaking to what is exclusivity, because you couldn't possibly have in a natural environment a sun over you, while I'm capturing this circus environment where the mentally ill are stalking. Okay, and they're stalking to a delusional degree because everyone is watching how the mentally ill, that is the demon possessed, are engaging in the system now. So now you're doing it in front of everyone. It's a running ad regarding satanic practices and the federal prosecution, which is already complete. This is establishing policy, and it's also speaking to those that are going to fork over their businesses. They are going to cease to exist as establishments. They're going to federal prison and they're not getting out. They're going to be committed involuntarily regarding their mentally ill condition, which is a threat to the public. And that is speaking universally. This is how this is evidence is working, because this is above and beyond a prosecution. The P.O.C. has already exceeded the legal standard, proving that beyond a reasonable doubt, the U.S. government has conspired my murder and is engaged in what is surveillance with a population, i.e. is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:46 a.m. 8 Larry Jerry 999. The fake sun is over me in Upland, California, where the entity is maintaining this fake sun over the Upland Public Library until it closes and I exit at 7 p.m. All right, the 7-Eleven employees are all going to federal prison for more than just gang stalking, for impunity, for systematic facilitation, and for poisoning. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 9:46 a.m. Alrighty, this is criminal summoning by the mentally ill, the department that's going to be disbanded for kidnapping, monitoring with images of them stalking. They're monitoring with the Upland Police Department, with the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, AMR, and the pattern of conduct, this is the entity that's stalking, and this white aircraft, this shiny white aircraft, if you can see it. That's the military stalking at a height and elevation. They don't want you to see that. They would rather you see obvious engagement and stalking with commercial planes, which is letting you know what the Upland Police Department are doing in the middle of the street. I just took a picture of it. This is that scene wrapping up. They've been monitoring the entire time. Marcelo Blanco's going to prison. You're going to federal prison, just like Lopez is over the Ontario Police, just like what is Mike Lorenz is, and just like Derek Williams is. And why? Because you do not retire. You do not escape a prosecution. You will not get over and get by and avoid federal prison when you have engaged in kidnapping, like Upland Police, like what is the Ontario Police, who are still gang stalking with the people of the state. And let me point something else out to you, which everybody else knows. When you're engaged in the pattern of conduct and you are the only one who is mentally ill, unfit to even be wearing a uniform outside of what is a uniform assigned to you as a patient in a medical facility where you are surrounded by padded walls, there is no legitimate engagement in the pattern of conduct, no matter how serious your facial expression is, no matter what props you pull out, like a gurney or handcuffs, when you are under the fake sun, which you know is still here after 7 p.m., stalking like they are now with impossible light across Argo up top. Where the demon-possessed are gang stalking, engaged in criminal summoning with the Upland Police, who have been engaged in maintaining presence right here. You saw the vehicles driving off, and this will be coupled with the images where you will see them lighting up this street right here while they were monitoring the entire time, while I invigorated the demons by the entity providing documentation of Chevron stalking me. That's the entity that engages in targeting with Metrolink, everything that you hear in the podcast, everything you saw on video. This is what the entity does. The demons are psychotic and they get into a manic frenzy as I document them, and that's what they do. And it's serving to put the employees and the gang stalkers documented in prison. All it does is work against them. But I'm showing you a pattern of conduct under a fake sun where you do not have anything. There's no car accident. There is no emergency. They're stalking, and they were monitoring the entire time with all the license plates that I documented, all the businesses that I captured, the demon that's at IHOP with their hazards on, that's federal prison, the demons that are gang stalking at the 7-Eleven, the employees are already going to federal prison, the demons that I'm documenting up and down the street, Upland police were stalking the entire time, monitoring. And as I capture video, the entities engaged in that P.O.C. wrapping up that scene. There are no emergencies. This is psychopathic pacing. He's going to prison. Ashley's going to federal prison under the fake sun. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct. Impossible light moving across the building. And they're engaged in psychopathic pacing, monitoring together while they're flying over the top of my head. All right? In what are smaller planes. Where there are no commercial planes in Upland, California. You're not engaged in policing. Where you are under a fake sun, you're not engaged in policing. This is the entity that is, again, they have no other tactics. And this is the entity that's doing so while they are being federally prosecuted. 46426 Apple 2. This is documentation of Marcelo Blanco, who's going to federal prison. All right, and so is Landivar of Upland Police, and so are the demons engaging in kidnapping. And I want to be clear, it includes Bill Velto. He's engaging in what is kidnapping while he is monitoring me with the Upland Police in 2022. And the entity stole that evidence, and that's not removing the fact that you're going to prison for it. This is the entity that's engaged in this, and they're doing so under the fake sun. Criminal summoning with the Upland Police is speaking to gang stalking by the population. 8RXH751 under what is a fake sun that is remaining. Okay, this is the P.O.C. Everybody inside of the Upland Public Library is going to federal prison. As you see, Ashy, this demon, this overweight African-American male, who is indeed Ashy, he's gang stalking serially, just like he is under a fake sun while he's remaining inside of the Upland Public Library. These are demons that don't have any aspirations or goals. They're going straight to prison, and that's because I am their obsession, and they're willing to go to prison over me, which is also why they're going to be subject to commitments. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that is also forfeiting and sacrificing their businesses, which I'm going to take over. See, it's Metrolink that is gang under a fake sun. You'll pay attention, the fake sun's on the opposite side of the train while I'm at Chevron at 159 South Euclid Avenue. This is Chevron that's gang stalking when I am on this same side of the street in the evening, and the fake sun is in alignment to me on this side of the street. That's documentation of the using the trains and the railroads as a means of interstate commerce pursuant to criminal surveillance. That's what Metrolink is engaging in. It is currently 9:52 a.m. Metrolink is engaged in that pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder, and they're doing so with knowledge that they're being documented. That's why Union Pacific gets on those railroad tracks while they are engaged in what is the pattern of conduct, and that's also why Metrolink operates outside of its published schedule, just like the airline companies are doing. They're engaging in the P.O.C. It is currently 9:52 a.m. as this is evidence of what is public corruption. And I want to be clear, this is evidence of a population, and you're witnessing a psychological breakdown while everything that they are engaged in, including their identity and their excruciatingly detailed means of being humiliated because they are monitoring the vagina of a target individual who is telling you all about it, and what that is inherently inclusive of with regard to what must be wrong with your mind when you are engaged in that. And it is more than that, they are demons. They're demons, but this is public corruption that is necessitating martial law. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is the lockdown of the city of Upland is because the gang stalking conduct of the city of Upland persisted without any indication or any show that they intended to cease to engage in being a threat to the rest of the country. And that's why they're going to be broken down with martial law. Okay, San Bernardino County Fire, Upland Police Department, American Medical Response, they're engaged in surveillance, as the evidence shows, and the evidence also shows that as they were documented and exposed, they engaged in more and more of it, showing their psychological breakdown in real time, while they were no longer secretly engaging in what is psychopathic and sexually perverted criminal activity in furtherance of murdering an American citizen. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:53 a.m. Alrighty, this is documentation following up. This is ongoing analysis, which I have been speaking about from the beginning, at the outset. The entity that is gang stalking, Tracy Banks, that is stalking me inside of the Stater Brothers, as I documented a couple weeks ago, she's engaged in this same pattern of conduct while she is psychotic enough, that is threatening enough, demented and deranged, delusional enough to approach me as a terrorist that has conspired my murder and thought that she would get away with it because of her familial relationship to me, which has nothing to do with the fact that you are actively conspiring with the military, all of that same pattern of conduct, while that entity also committed kidnapping. Tracy Banks committed kidnapping as an entity. She is still gang stalking me with every police department in the state of California and with the U.S. military, stalking me from place to place, and she is approaching me inside of the grocery store, which is a threat to my life and safety, while she has also engaged in criminal summoning with the stalkers of the Ontario police, who you see threatening, pursuant to literally nothing and just hoping that I'm going to, I guess, just forget all of my rights and let them harass me and not say anything. This is Tracy Banks, as you are witnessing this, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that, together with a population who are nameless with regard to understanding the pattern of conduct. But when you are prosecuted, because it's an entity, so you're talking about the vacillation of personal identities when it is the same unified actor, it is the entity. And it includes Tracy Banks and her sex partner. That is basically the U.S. military. She's engaged in the pattern of conduct, and this is a sex cult. But they are united with regard to the perverted things that they engage in together. This is Satanism. And that is only relevant with regard to the fact that they are mentally ill upon criminals engaging in public corruption. And this is inclusive of what is Jason Isaac Fields, who is not made sane, who is not made legitimate, who is not under any circumstances neutralized as a threat. You need to understand that Jason Fields, the military, Tracy Banks have engaged in trying to infect my body with deadly diseases. This is what I was documenting. When the entity's putting needles in the bottom of my feet, do you think that the federal government that claims and will claim that they've been investigating something were actually protecting me while they were watching? They're a part of this pattern of conduct, including Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, that stalked me in the grocery store while I'm documenting. And then I'm documenting her when you're in my face. Why do you think that that criminal system stops when you are in my face? To the contrary, you are literally admitting that you are a part of the criminal pattern of conduct while you get in front of my camera, and I already know your name and your license plate. This is an entity that's engaged in that, conspiring my murder, injecting me with deadly diseases through needles, while this entity is HIV infected, and they have tried to infect me with this. This is the entity that's engaged in what is threatening my life, and that includes Jason Isaac Fields. This is a psychopath. This is a violent sex offender. And the mayor in Upland, California, the mayor in Ontario, California are absolutely motivated to take my life in order to try to silence me regarding the greater pattern of conduct as to why your family members, your fake friends, those that you have worked with are targeting you in the way in which I have proven the P.O.C. shows. White people that you do not know, like those in Upland, California, are targeting in the way in which I have proven the P.O.C. demonstrates that they are in fact targeting. And the entity is engaged in this while keeping me in this economic circumstance. And how are they doing so? Because the entity has already stolen my money and property. Gang stalked me out of my employment, both as a property manager and as a practicing attorney, where the people of the state are licensed to practice law. They were gang stalking and targeting me, harassing me. The people of the state are engaged in what is targeting me while I'm a property manager in Los Angeles, California. And like I documented in Jurupa Valley, California, where Riverside County is gang stalking me, the same exact identical pattern of conduct. And this is the entity that is gang stalking in Upland, California. And you're mindful of that when I'm in Upland inside of the Upland, or in Upland, California. And the Upland police are on the same street that the fake sun is over 9 hours from now. And the entity is keeping that environment while they are walking out as though that is forgotten. And as though it is forgotten, and Tracy Banks is overtly stalking me in a grocery store where the pattern of conduct is underway. They just committed kidnapping on Monday, July 13, 2026, just so that they could keep me in a room and pace all around me and stalk me with noise, so they could sit there and stare at me and listen to me breathe, so that they can watch me take my clothes off and force me to put something else on and be in an environment where they can entertain their fantasy that I am mentally ill, that they wish that they could be successful in these things and these endeavors, even if it's just for 10 hours. And that's exactly what the entity engaged in, and they're going to prison. Every single last person that I documented while that circumstance is underway is going to federal prison, just so that they can get a second to run my nude body. That's literally what Anthony Rodriguez Hadel Chiapani, Michael Lowe of Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, the demons that are Jay Delgado of San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the people of the state that I'm documenting, Edgar of Stater Brothers, gang stalking, all the employees that are going to prison, Tracy Banks that's stalking me inside of the Stater Brothers. Tracy Banks is stalking on an ongoing basis. She's conspicuously stalking, as I captured her on video inside of that Stater Brothers. Understand that. And it's an entity that is engaging in that, and they are together sharing in that. And this is the entity that is engaged in what is injecting my body with deadly diseases. For example, this is what happened with the rapper Eazy-E. And it's very easy to state that it was his fault that he caught HIV because of his promiscuous lifestyle. This is an entity that's engaging in what is using how you live your life. And so if you are imperfect, yes, you do make it much easier for the government to target you and blame you for their means of taking your life, such as successfully gang stalking you and you having some sort of means of acting out in a manner that they deem to be, oh, that's sufficient enough, they're acting crazy, when actually they are targeting you, engaging in voyeurism, and then documenting you responding to their criminal activity, and then they use that to criminally defame you as though you're mentally ill because they're gang stalking you. And that is not also the entity that is engaging in this pattern of conduct under any circumstances in any position to speak to the character of the target individual that you are torturing. But this is the entity that does so. And so if you have an affinity for drugs, the entity will take your life, poison you, for example, with fentanyl when you were just smoking weed, and stating that you had an overdose when you merely are smoking marijuana. And I don't advocate drug use at all, but I'm giving you an example. The entity that's engaged in this and then claiming that you OD'd on fentanyl and you've never even taken fentanyl, but nobody's going to get those level of details because it is sufficient while the people of the state are defaming your character. And people like Tracy Banks that you're related to are claiming that you've been a drug addict for years. And nobody is asking any questions because the gang stalking court that wants your money and also wants to silence you because they are demons and they don't want you speaking on the system and this entity that's engaged in this demonic pattern of conduct, such as that which is occurring under a fake sun, which is supernatural, which is speaking in relevant context regarding criminal activity. The entity is very much interested and motivated. And mayors in the city of Upland and like in the city of Ontario targeting me with the city and all of the facilities, all of the resources of that city, and everybody in that city engaging in that pattern of conduct. Be mindful of this. Jason Isaac Fields is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and he remains a psychopath. This is a demon. This is someone that is absolutely motivated for my life to be taken because of this entity, because of the fact that he is humiliated, because he's a homosexual, because he's a serial killer, because he is engaged in what this entity is engaged in pedophilia, having sex with children. And as demons, I want to be clear. Continuing my podcast, my phone running out of storage. It is 10:04 a.m. by the way, and the fake sun is over the over the Upland Public Library, and it is on schedule, pursuant on the record. The entity is also keeping the fake sun over Ovid Family Community Library, so that's not incorrect. It's just that it's impossible in a natural environment, which is how you have all the employees of both Upland Public Library and Ovid Family Community Library, including when I leave Ontario to come to Upland, and when I am en route to Upland, and this targeting that I'm subject to, it's pointing directly to the pattern of conduct, and that in addition to what is the evidence of them gang stalking inside of the Upland Public Library, all of them are going to federal prison. Nonetheless, continuing my commentary, this entity that's engaged in this, when you are a demon having sex with a child, this is not something that is merely physical, okay? So in other words, Tracy Banks, Jason Fields raping a child, okay? This is something that you're not just experiencing physically. These are demons, and they share in that sex act together. You're talking about spiritual warfare. You're talking about sacrificing. You're talking about the physical act that's committed by one that is within that entity. You're talking about, in other words, Satan that is using a person that is demon-possessed in order to experience that with a younger child, which is what Satan wants to do. Satan is a spirit, and Satan is engaging in having sex with children through possessing people who then physically rape children. What you need to understand is that the entire entity, all of those demons are sharing in that experience. They're aware of the genitalia, and this is explicit, so this is graphic, so you might want to beware. But I'm not going to mince words or anything because this is the reality. And this is what you need to know regarding those that are, oh, well, they did this and they did that. They're all pedophiles having sex with children. They're all engaging in this sex act as an entity of demons that engage in sacrificing. And so when you have Jason Fields that's raping a child, when you have it, and a child is anybody under 18, by the way, but they are literally raping babies, having sex with babies. Okay, those that are still wearing diapers, toddlers, they're having sex with them as well. And this, you need to understand that is exceeding that which is physical. Yes, you have that one person, which is a demon, representing an entity, and they are all together experiencing that sexual experience, the physical sensation, obsessive exploration of the genitalia of the inside, all of that which is entailed in the sex act itself, which is perverted because they're doing it with a child. This is shared by all of the rest of the demons. This is the reality of that. And then you're getting to the illusion regarding the criminal justice system. These are all demons. The demons of the Ontario Police Department are experiencing that sex act as demons sharing in that sacrifice. And then those demons in the physical are acting like they're going to investigate the child rape. They are literally engaging in the child trafficking system. This is why they are gang stalking. This is pedophiles that are engaging in this pattern of kind of gang stalking. And the entities engaging in this trying to silence me about the fact that they are child traffickers, that they are engaging in what is trying to set me up regarding murder of one that this entity has targeted, and engaged in what is murdering that person. This is relevant to that. So I'm showing you and speaking to what is, in other words, the physical realm that we're living the carnal versus, actually, it's not even versus, the carnal realm, which is serving for what is actually an illusion pursuant to what is the spiritual realm, which is even more real. You need to understand that it is more than just the physical person that is raping a child that is experiencing the sexual violation of that child. Gang stalking is the reality of the demon possessed that are together sharing in a pattern of conduct. While the demons, let me give you another example, the demon that walks into the bathroom stall in order to monitor me in the restroom, you understand the P.O.C, that's representative of the entity. It's the same thing with regard to the entity that is injecting their genitalia into a child, that is penetrating a child. It is more than just that physical act that is underway with regard to experiencing the, observing the experience of that child that's being raped. This is part of the satisfaction of demons, of perverts, while they are witnessing even the pain that children go through and experience. This is part of the obsession, the sickness of the demon possessed while they're sacrificing. This is looking things that are entirely perverted and sick. This is what you need to know about what's wrong with the sex offenders who are gang stalking, who are demon possessed, who are violent sex offenders engaged in things such as vagina monitoring. They are engaging in this sex act against children. And this is exactly what they did not want me to speak about. They have committed murder as an entity as well. And as you are addressing the spiritual realm, it is prosecuted by things such as conspiracy. You are prosecuting a group that are sharing in a criminal act together as one, while they are multiple actors. One engaging in what is holding the gun at the door, committing the robbery. Another going inside and holding up the employees and telling them to put the money in the bag. And another that is at the car ready to drive off after they get the money. And the other one that is running through the bank telling everybody, if you move, I'm going to kill you, making those threats and then actually killing people while they are moving around. They're all engaging in that criminal act together, and it's a conspiracy to commit robbery, okay? And they commit robbery, and they are also sharing in what is the murder that happened. They're also sharing in the criminal act with regard to trying to escape being caught for stealing that money and murdering people in a bank. This is what is relevant with regard to the spiritual act of raping children. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is. This is what he is. This is not a hero. This is someone that is sharing in that. And whether or not you can appreciate that, this is getting to, you are guilty with regard to tangible evidence that I have. Tangible evidence is already prosecuting Jason Isaac Fields. I don't have to have him inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, pacing around me with regard to, as I've documented very thoroughly, Woodside Senior Apartments, and Tracy Banks in her apartment when she thought that she was getting away with it, and she thought that she was going to have me confined and committed, and this is exactly what's happening to her. She was right about the future. She was just wrong that it's going to be her and not me, and that's because she is a demon that has no spiritual insight. She is a Jezebel who's been having sex with children and having sex with people that are under this same criminal act, that which is demonic activity. Okay, so this is very much the combination of demonic activity and criminal activity, which is proven by tangible evidence, but it's relevant to what is wrong with them spiritually, which is getting to what's wrong with them mentally. This is why you have the demons that are stalking me so obsessively with helicopters. Those are demons. They're mentally ill. And that's getting to what is spiritually wrong with them. They are possessed by demons, and they are perturbed by me who has done nothing to them. I don't know them, have not spoken to them. All I'm doing is speaking the truth about what they are doing to me, and what they are doing to me is what they've done to other people. And what they've done to other people includes what is trafficking children, kidnapping them, consuming their flesh, consuming their feces, their bodily fluids, having sex with them, kidnapping them, taking them across the globe, lying to them about their identity. These are the things that Tracy Banks, Jason Fields, the entity, the military that are engaged in terrorism, not protecting American citizens, are sharing it. This is what is behind the Upland Police Department gang stalking me in Upland, California, and I'm not a criminal. And I'm also not a criminal when they're targeting me inside of the Upland Public Library, and you don't like that you're being documented for your criminal activity. I'm also not a criminal then. But this is how the entity has abused their position, and that's why they're being disbanded. It's a very serious threat to national security, because the Upland Police exists throughout the state of California. The Ontario Police exists throughout the state of California, while they're engaging in this system. And what you need to know about what is so disgusting about demons, this is what you need to know, those of you who liken yourself to be different from the one that's penetrating children, or the one that's just gang stalking with the ones that penetrate children, the ones that are just receiving money while you're targeting and keeping under surveillance those that are actually penetrating children. You are a demon, and you share in that sex act. And before God Almighty, you need to know that you're just as guilty. You are equally damned to hell, just like the one that put their infected genitalia inside of any child. or anyone against their will while you're monitoring vagina. You share in that sex act. This is the entity that's keeping my vagina under surveillance. Jason Isaac Fields is a sex offender. When I say that it is not going to happen, that you need to stop listening to monitoring spirits where you're getting false messages about who my future husband is, it's not happening. He is a sex offender. He has literally been inside of the decrepit vagina of Tracy Banks, who is obsessed with me. She's both a lesbian and she's an incestuous sex offender. She's psychotic, stalking me at Stater Brothers grocery store. Like nobody is aware of what she's absurdly psychotic. This is exactly why you see me capturing video, walking away from her. She is unstable while she's talking about a hotel voucher. I don't need a hotel room from you. I don't need a hotel room. I need my money. You stole my money and my property, and you're still holding on to it while they're engaging in things such as injecting my body with deadly diseases. That's what they thought was going to work. This is why the military is stalking. This is why the Ontario police are stalking. This is why the Upland police are stalking. This is why the people of the state are stalking. This is why you have demons such as Bill Velto and Paul Leon still stalking. And that's exactly what they are with regard to the pattern of conduct. I'm being stalked at the city hall. The mayor is stalking. I'm being stalked in the city of Upland. The mayor is stalking. You're going to federal prison. And what you need to know is with regard to the spiritual realm, this is the reality. They are all having sex with children. All of them. They are actually physically engaged in the sex act with children. This is why you have pedophilia that happens. But this is relevant to what is demonic activity. It's not just a dysfunctional family. You're only looking at it in the physical. You're looking at it how demons are addressing it in courtrooms. This is demonic activity. In other words, this is regularly going on with regard to demons that violate children, with regard to siphoning spiritually from them. This is routine with regard to those that are gang stalking and they're driving UPS vehicles. They're stalking in FedEx vehicles. They're maintaining businesses like Chevron and IHOP and 7-Eleven. And they're engaged in trafficking children. The demonic activity of having sex with children. Spiritually attacking. This is why I'm being monitored inside of a gas station. It's demonic and it's also corrupt business practices, which are criminal. That's the combination of demonic activity and criminal activity, i.e. the P.O.C. I want to make sure that that's clear. Okay? The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and as intricate as it may sound, it is relevant because I am exposing the details of how Satan operates. And people like Jason Isaac Fields, who is no hero to me, he's engaged in monitoring my vagina. He's a sex offender. He engages in masturbation. He engages in all manner of what is exploiting access that he should not have as a demon, as a sex offender, having sex with other people, being married to probably a boy and some other Jezebel that's also obsessed with me while he is keeping my vagina under surveillance. You are not a hero. You're a sex offender, and he has sex with children. They all do. This is what the demon possessed do. This is directly contrast to the kingdom of God. The Lord God is not monitoring anybody, and it certainly is not monitoring violating your privacy in a bathroom. The Lord God is the spirit. He is everywhere all the time, but you are not being spiritually violated, and he does not force himself on you either with regard to whether you want to accept him as your Lord and Savior, whether you wanted to submit and repent of your sins or not. He remains God. He's over everything. But it is not the same as the ongoing, hovering, dominating, intimidating spirit, that abusive spirit that is violating your privacy. It's almost like having a third head on your shoulder or a second head on your shoulder that you know is sitting there watching you. That's Satan. That's monitoring. That is not what the Holy Spirit does. That is not the sickness of what the demon possessed do. And that's why they're also stalking. The Lord God and those with the Holy Spirit are not engaging in that. You are, by virtue, you need to understand, by virtue of your condition, you are a sex offender. Monitoring spirits are perverts. Monitoring spirits are obsessed stalkers. Monitoring spirits are criminals. They're liars. They're deceitful. They're mentally ill. They're psychopathic. They maintain one outward demeanor and they're engaged in a whole other that they don't want you to know about because they're demons. They don't want you to know about the creature that possesses their vessel. And demons are giving information to the federal government because they're scared about going to prison. And guess what? You are still going to prison. You're not getting out of it because it is terrorism. You may be getting less than your co-defendant that you're giving evidence on. And by all means, because doing 25 to life versus getting maybe 5 to 10, that's a lot better. because many of them are going to die in prison. And that includes the military, the gang stalking police, demons like Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer. They've engaged in conspiring my death, and they are cold-blooded serial killers and child rapists who engage in monitoring the vagina of their blood relative. That's what I represent to them, while they are actively and very freely defaming my character and doing so for years. And they thought that gossip was going to do it. And you know why it's supposed to work? Why it typically works? Because this entire federal government that I'm prosecuting is sharing in that pattern of conduct, because there is no way when you are practicing law and medicine in any legitimate courtroom that gossip in and of itself is sufficient to violate the due process rights of any American citizen at all. But this is what the entity has been engaged in. This is what the entity that has been engaged in. And as you hear the loud noise, that's the entity that is testifying to the truth that I speak. That's the evidence that you know that it's an entire government system, because the gossip of a Jezebel whose mouth is infected, okay, whose genitalias are inflamed, who can lie about my character and I'm not even there, who can lie and say that I'm dead while you're gang stalking my evidence shows that I'm being gang stalked while you're lying about the fact that I'm alive. That means that courtroom that she's lying in, that they're lying in, they are a part of the pattern of conduct because they're monitoring me. I'm documenting it. They're stalking me by planes and helicopters while you are at the same time claiming that I'm dead somewhere. That's the government that is lying in its courtrooms, using it as a means of the pattern of conduct with these people of the state that are gang stalking through corrupt businesses. While they are stalking, using police vehicles, lighting up Euclid Avenue and Arrow. Doing so, wrapping up that crime scene while I begin capturing video, focusing in on that. The demons that are engaging in kidnapping, the demons that are engaging in conspiring murder, the demons that are having sex with children and calling themselves police officers and police departments. This is why Marcelo Blanco is being federally prosecuted, as a matter of principle. And as a matter of what is the criminal activity of the pattern of conduct. A terrorist leader like Marcelo Blanco is going to prison, mandated federal prison, period. You're going to federal prison whether you were ever documented, meaning if Marcelo Blanco was never in my face, I don't have to document him physically in my path. I'm documenting him while the Upland Police is gang stalking, and you're going to prison, sir. You're going to federal prison. And that is how you are prosecuting domestic terrorism. But for that terrorist being in that position, the Upland Police Department wouldn't be conspiring my murder and stalking me as a whole department. They're not engaged in law enforcement, and they're psychotic. They're child rapists who are going around pacing all day long over the Upland Public Library. That's why the fake son is here. This is an entity that's engaged in, and they're doing it with Tracy Banks, who's going to prison, who's a pedophile. They're doing it with Jason Isaac Fields, who's a pedophile. Having sex with children, and Jason Isaac Fields has been engaged in repeated acts of attempted murder, just like I stated, while the entity was doing what last night? Stalking me by helicopters. Do you know why you go to such a far extent to engage in targeting, which it's clearly targeting, I've already established that? First of all, because you're absurdly psychotic, but because they are, and you're psychotic because they're demons. These are demons that are all triggered by me because they are inferior to me, and they know that I know all of their secrets. I know what they do. I literally can see through them. And what do I mean by that? Let me break that down. I'm not looking at you and I can see your spleen and I can see your kidney and I can see your skeleton. That's not what that means. It means I see through what is that deceptive veil whereby they are living and existing amongst what are illusions presented to you. They're all under a fake sun. They're all engaged in what is presenting as one way, and it is not. You're getting past a smiling face. You're getting past a logo. You're getting past what is a conversation. Who cares that you're having a conversation? In fact, you look more psychotic because you're trying to act like you're into, and you are acting under the fake sun. You're not having a conversation. You're stalking. And that's why it's going to be used to have you committed. It's okay. Keep talking. And keep keeping your back to me. You're going to be dragged away into a mental facility. That's where you're going. They like to have sex with kids, and then they want to stand around stalking the person that's prosecuting them. And you think in your mind, because you are an unintelligent, lower creature, that keeping your back and having a conversation and laughing as loud as you possibly can and holding your phone out and staring at that is looking like anything other than the pattern of conduct. And that's because you're not an intelligent being. You're not reasonable. You're not rational. You are here to be exposed. They're child rapists. FedEx is engaged in raping children. UPS is engaged in raping children. The Upland Police Department is engaged in raping children. The Ontario Police Department is engaged in raping children. Chevron is engaged in raping children, profiting from raping children, facilitating raping children, enabling raping children. This is the P.O.C. The entities engaged in this, and I want to be clear, everybody that I documented is going to federal prison with regard to stalking this morning. While I'm at Chevron and the entities engaged in criminal summoning, it's very specific, okay? When I say everybody's going to federal prison, I've already stated at the outset, it is impracticable, okay? Meaning it is Unrealistic, and it's not even feasible to put the entire state of California in federal prison. This is the fact, and this is not the point of this evidence. The Lord God wants you to know what is going on. The Lord God wants you to know that He is returning. The Lord God wants you to know that if you think you have an alternative to Christ, you are severely deceived. That's what He wants you to know. And you are also learning that because it is not even practical to put all the demon-possessed, the wicked who are going to burn in hell, in prison. They can't all go to prison. And that's not the point. He is the solution. He is the answer. And He's the one that everybody's going to answer to. Now, with regard to this prosecution, that is not the feasible response either. There has to be an ongoing breaking down of the infrastructure, the foundation of this very system. And that's what the P.O.C, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, federal legislation that's actually addressing the fact of domestic terrorism in the United States, number one, and prosecuting it. The government that's engaging in it is avoiding and has been avoiding addressing it and legislating around it. That is being resolved. And you have the entity that is under no circumstances protected at every level of society, local, state, and federal, engaging in that pattern of conduct. And everyone is aware of it. You're talking about the entity that's engaging what is stripping domestic terrorists who are residing in the United States of America from enjoying the benefits of being in this country. Okay? And that's if you're outside of the walls of a prison and a mental institution, you will not be enjoying any benefits of being in this country. And you will be identified as what you are, a sex offending terrorist. And there are repercussions for that. So you have what is a society that is inevitably subject to what is the restrictions inherent to being a terrorist society. They are a threat to themselves and the rest of the country, the rest of the world. But you're understanding the necessity of very much identifying an entire state. And that is the entity that maintains a right to discriminate based on whether you can have a job or whether you can live at that place or whether you can even move to that area, move to that country, or be in whatever you have a right to be. The American people that are not prosecuted as gang stalkers. Okay, the rest of the United States is going to learn from what the military have refused to learn while they're gang stalking me. And these are the ways in which you do not have a right to engage in domestic terrorism, and you will find out what you thought were rights are not rights by virtue of being engaged in the pattern of conduct. You're a terrorist. Terrorists do not enjoy these constitutional rights. It's a distinct difference. And you're going to be treated accordingly. There are no more illusions. And no one is confused about that. The only one that's under any illusions are the demons themselves, the ones that are stalking, the ones that are monitoring, the ones that are flinging light, the ones that are going dizzy under the fake sun, that are monitoring, and there's not even a point to it. What are you even doing? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm just monitoring because this is all that they know how to do. They're not humans. They're demons. They're creatures, and they need to be confined. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening. Okay, the entities engaged in this, and everybody that I documented, it is not practical for them to be, everyone to be in federal prison. But American Medical Response, Upland Police, the city of Upland, the local government, they're already handled. This is dealing with the prosecution. Where I'm located, the ecological address, the fake sun is over me. The fake sun is over me last night. Everybody, you're talking about the business records of the entity that's gang stalking. You're talking about the ARCO. The adjacent venues, the entity that's engaged in that. Nobody's escaping anything. You're talking about the customers, the transactions, the ways in which you are. In other words, there are no secrets and there's no mystery regarding who's engaging in what. And they feel emboldened to do so because I didn't go walk on the grounds of Chevron where these cowards are running and pressing, pounding on the gas when I come to document that license plate. When I come to get them on video. And then the psychopaths, they engage in what is laughing hysterically. To a psychopath's cover, which is not a cover, they engage in laughing because they're scared to death. Because there's nothing funny about being documented and being called a sex offender. There's nothing funny about being next to that helicopter under that. There's nothing funny about that at all. And having it on social media, having it on television, having it being even likened to anything that you have, there's nothing funny about that. And there certainly isn't anything funny about that being coupled with and being addressed regarding your business. There's nothing funny about that at all. These are demons that are being humiliated. And why are they being humiliated? Because they have some sick sense of ego. Nobody cares about your ego. You don't even have any respect. There's nothing that is bravado or courageous or cool or sexy about being a gang stalker. You're being humiliated because you like to convey yourself as one way. They want to. The demon-possessed population are supposed to appear as one thing, and the demon-possessed population are seen as that, a demon-possessed population. They're all obsessed with me. They're all lower beings. even the mutants that they give birth to. And I said exactly what I said. I said, those are monitoring spirits that they give birth to. Those are not people. That's Satan. I want to be clear, because they're cursed. So they give birth to cursed beings that are monitoring from the day they come out of that cursed womb. This is the reality of the spiritual realm. Okay, but you're talking about those that are given a constitutional right in court. Sure, creatures are going to be given their day in court, and they're going to be, it's a surefire prosecution. Stalking with light, which is no hallucination. Stalking with light, which is while you are there in the presence, you're delusional. If you think, oh, I don't have anything to do, I don't know anything about that, you're going to be committed. You're speaking to what is already speaking to, it's telling on everybody. It's telling on the city government. It's telling on the federal government. It's telling on the state. While the entities engage in that. And there is also no mystery. And you're talking about what is exposing that entire entity while you have a psychopath that is incapable. And that's the reality of them. These are demons that don't have self-control. That's also a national security threat. This is not to spread fear, which is a spirit. This is to spread information for you to make wise decisions with knowledge that you need. And it's also not speaking to what is spreading the spirit of fear, because you're watching me conquer the inferior. That's why they're all stalking. That's why when I capture video, you hear more and more chaos rising in the environment, because they're all scared. It's a hysterical environment. Hysteria breaks out, manic, because they're all engaging in criminal activity, and I'm calling them out. And they are fearful because I know what they're doing. And it's not a matter of what I know. It's a matter of what I'm proving to you that I know that they are in fact doing. And they prove it to you themselves. Because they're that unintelligent. They're creatures. They're not humans. They're not intelligent, reasonable beings. They're creatures. Just like I told you. They prove it to you themselves. The absurdity of what the entity is doing in planes and helicopters in and of itself. The absurdity of that. It's not an intelligent human. That's a creature that in their mind thinks, okay, well, since you're proving the fact that, and it is a proof that there are no commercial planes, there's no airports, and there's also no planes that would even be at that elevation. In other words, the proof of targeting in the most absurd and psychotic, and it's also really expensive. You're going way out of it's very extreme to engage in surveillance using commercial planes and helicopters. The entity that is doing that, only creatures and animals. Not human beings, not rational beings that are concerned with damages, accountability, exposure, humiliation. These are animals that decide, okay, well, I'm going to fly in 3 more planes. I'm going to keep on flying in planes and hovering so that you could see the logos, so you could see the business that you're going to prosecute, so you can get more damages, so you can prosecute the ones that are going to be identified that are in those planes, operating them in real time while you have proof of it on video and images, where there's no rumor, there's no confusion, there's no mystery whatsoever. Those are creatures that do that. Those are not rational, reasonable human beings. Those are creatures. Those are demons. Giving me over, handing over, literally their liberty, handing over what is evidence of certifiable conduct, handing over the evidence to remove that company from existence altogether. Okay? And the reason why I'm stating that these are companies that I'm going to own is not because I want them. I think that it is better for the public that these are companies that cease to exist, because the logo, the reputation, it's over. And that's as damning as the company going bankrupt. You're going to go bankrupt when you are associated with terrorism and vagina monitoring and psychological torture and public corruption, domestic terrorism in the United States, an enemy, treason. That company's reputation is over. Okay? So the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are sacrificing themselves. These are creatures that they lose what was supposed to be composure. Well, they're supposed to be acting one way. They lose that composure around me. They lose that because they're demons. And that's what you're listening to in the background. Now, while I'm prosecuting creatures who are trying to masquerade as humans, you are mindful of what it is that they are doing. They are conspiring the murder of an American citizen, where it is the U.S. government that are a bunch of demons masquerading as humans that are engaging in what is criminal activity, federal stalking under Title 18. Okay, conspiracy to murder with a population, gang stalking, federal group stalking and monitoring, and doing so with impunity. Doing so exhibiting severe mental instability, obsession of an entity that's in need of martial law. Things such as legislation dealing with domestic terrorism, which is a condition of a disease that is plaguing regions in the country. Okay, it is currently 10:31 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun over me. And like I stated, it is not practical that everyone go to federal prison. But while I'm documenting, you're talking about the large group that I'm documenting in the morning. Oh, they're all going to prison. That was criminal summoning. You have what is serious damages by Metrolink. The level of damages that are inherent to gang stalking as a train line, as an airline industry, as a transit line. These are also means of the entity engaging in acts of terrorism. 9/11, planes into the Twin Towers. That was the entity engaging in the surveillance system. And the entity is doing so while they are engaging in surveillance with the people of the state. Okay, the entity that's engaging what is surveillance on the roads and the highways, like what Upland Police are doing under the fake. All right, they're doing so while they are monitoring the evidence. These are demons that are engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they are doing while they sacrifice. You're not engaged in law enforcement under a fake sin. That entire department is being disbanded, and they're engaging in this with impunity. Wow, by the way, they sacrificed Landivar, but Landivar sacrificed himself. Do you feel sorry for him? No. He's gang stalking me. And the mentally ill that you're targeting me with, I'm going to use them against you because you're all idiots. You're all creatures. So your partners that's gang stalking me at the same address, 4 hours later, you're going to prison and they're going to prison. Your partners that are in a whole other city and county at the same time where the sun wouldn't be over me, they're going to prison and you're going to prison because they're all creatures. And that's what the Upland Police Department is doing right now at 10:32 a.m. Okay, stalking while they're listening to me break down what is the prosecution of a population. They're all going to federal prison. That's what Upland Police Department were doing, stalking right here at Upland Public Library, maintaining a scene which was criminal summoning, which is exactly what they were doing at the Chevron. While I'm at that Chevron at 7:20 in the evening, it was exactly what they were doing at the Arco. While I'm at that intersection of 8th and Euclid at 6 and 7 in the evening with the military, stalking by helicopter, engaging in criminal summoning with the mentally ill, calling themselves American Medical Response. They are already surrounded by evidence. These are stalkers that are masquerading as humans, calling themselves a police department. They are not a police department. They are child rapists. Those are child rapists that are wearing Upland Police Department uniforms, child rapists that are driving around in these vehicles to engage in what is surveillance, stalking and monitoring the person that is prosecuting them. And the entities engaged in this and everyone that is documented is going to federal prison. Metrolinx engaged in massive facilitation for which they will be subject to what are damages. And this is a basis to remove train lines that engage in acts of terrorism from existence. They are a threat to national security while they are gang stalking under any circumstances. That's what 9/11 actually was, an act of terrorism by these demons, by the military, in concert with those that are outside of the United States and inside of the United States. While they are presenting it as though it's an act of terrorism against the United States that is a victim and that the United States government has nothing to do with, that's a lie. The entity that is gang stalking right now is engaged in the terrorist acts that occurred on September 11th. Okay, 2001. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they are engaging in acts of terrorism, which is what UPS is engaging in Kentucky. Okay, commercial planes. You're looking at them gang stalking, dipping and diving and U-turning and stalking, flying over, targeting me on the sidewalk, targeting me from city to city. These are the same demons that engage in suicide acts, flying planes into mountains, into bodies of water, into buildings, into the ground, killing themselves and each other while they are stalking and monitoring. These are the demons that are having sex with children. These are the mentally ill that are engaged in that. And they call themselves an Upland Police Department. They call themselves the airline industry. They call themselves the train lines, Union Pacific, Metrolink, Amtrak. They call themselves what are the transit line, like what Omnitrans, Foothill Transit. They are engaged in what is maintaining this surveillance system while they operate these means of interstate commerce, which is a threat to national security. Okay, while the entity is gang stalking. This right here is why everybody that I documented at Chevron in that video, they're going to federal prison. And everybody last night is going to prison. P.O.C. That's vehicle 12277 under the big sun. All right, that's P.O.C. And that's the entity that engages in them. That's that same chaos or demons that are fearful. And it's not changing the reality that everybody inside of the Upland Public Library, Adam Tuckerman, and everybody else under his corrupt leadership are going to prison. The Upland City Hall is gang stalking while AMR is doing the exact same thing at 7 in the evening on the same street. It's criminal summoning. They're going to federal prison. The Upland City Hall is not a legitimate government body. They're engaged in surveillance, and that is proven as a matter of science, even exceeding what is beyond a reasonable doubt, the criminal activity of the Upland City Hall. And it's not changing the subject. This is how desperate they are. But these are demons that are fearful. When demons are fearful, they commit acts of terrorism. They engage in murder. They engage in raping people. They engage in killing them, trying to silence them. The entity has engaged in trying to silence me by poisoning me, injecting my body with diseases that they tried to kill me off with. American Medical Response, that's gang stalking now. That's why they're being put out of business, because that's what American Medical Response is engaged in. Not ambulance services. They engage in murder and kidnapping. They're engaged in raping children. They're engaged in facilitating raping children. And that's what's on video. The entity's engaging in this under the fake sun. Where's the fake sun? Where I'm at right now at 10:36 a.m. when I'm walking out of the same entrance at 7 p.m. The fake sun is right here. American Medical Response are a threat to national security. These are creatures that are masquerading as humans operating under the malicious and deceptive misnomer of being EMTs. They are not EMTs. These are murderers that are going into that field in order to commit acts of terrorism, murdering people. They're also murdering the people of the state. These are demons, and these are demons that kill each other, but they also engage in killing people like myself, targeted individuals, when they're not actually engaged in what are trying to save your life. All right, they're engaging in what are means of targeting. When you have these creatures in all areas of society, this is how you're able to accomplish it. They have demons at the hospital. They have demons at the police department. They have demons of the sheriff's department, demons in the court, demons in the neighborhood, demons of the local government, demons that are maintaining all manner of this pattern of conduct. That's what Satan is engaging in, and it is the pattern of conduct with regard to what is prosecuting what is severe mental instability of a population in need of being isolated, carved out. A demarcation regarding the demon-possessed that are existing amongst those that they are keeping under surveillance and sexually violating, including their children and yours. This is what the United States government is engaging in. This is why California is going to be subject to martial law. And they engage in, you know what psychopaths do? They start sounding sirens. Okay? Everybody that's in the video that I documented, Chevron is going to produce business records. The prosecution is after. That's the easy part. Okay? You don't have any privacy, number one. And number two, your business records are going to be produced. Everybody that's engaged in it, everybody that's comfortable stalking at the gas stop because I don't have to walk over there. I don't have to go chasing this case. The demons are stalking me. They come to me. That's what American Medical Response is doing. The stalkers come to me. They give me the evidence. They cannot control themselves. They fork over the evidence to prosecute them with. They fork over their identity. And that's for your benefit. Everybody inside of the Upland Public Library, the entire workforce, they're going to federal prison. And it's the same for the entity that is engaged in this pattern of conduct as a means of, this is the entity, American Medical Response, this entity has engaged in Jason Isaac Fields, and these are sex offenders that are engaged in the sex offense of monitoring genitalia and bathroom stalking and engaging in, and which is not changing because you give information to the federal government. So this is not to disincentivize reporting to the feds because you will receive some measure of a benefit. Perhaps you won't die in prison. But I want to be clear. This is an entity, Jason Fields is going to prison regardless, and he is a pedophile. This is no future husband of mine. This is somebody that's literally married to someone else, and I don't care that you had spell work while you were having gay sex with you are a homosexual, period. Homosexuality is not defined as to whether you were under some spell while you're a demon and you're doing what demons do. You were having sex with males. You are not having any relationship with me. You have conspired my murder. You've injected me with poisons with regard to what is anticipating my death while you're sitting up waiting for me to die, and it ain't going to happen. You know what else isn't going to happen? Jason Fields will never be in my presence. There will never be a conversation. He's a vagina monitoring, elderly woman. He's having sex with elderly women like Tracy Banks. Like, he likes to have sex with old women. He likes to have sex with babies and children, and he likes to consume their bodily fluids. He likes to sit around watching them on the internet, masturbating, violating, stalking people, and conspiring their murder, stealing from them. He's a serial killer. Do you think I care about whether you're claiming, if you came to Jesus or not? That is your business. You're staying away from me. This is a criminal case. Okay? You are not going to avoid what is the prosecution for all of those egregious acts of terrorism, because this is a crime committed by an entity. That's what Jason Isaac Fields is. He's an entity, and he's riddled with demons. Riddled with them. He will never be in my presence. There is nothing that he is coming to talk to me about. And these gang stalkers that are listening to demons on the internet, talking about that there's going to be a relationship, it's totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to let you know you're listening to Satan. And you're getting your messages from these demons that are engaging in witchcraft. You're not. You're engaging in what is divination and sorcery. You're not hearing from the Holy Spirit. You're not hearing from Christ Jesus. He's not speaking through tarot cards. You're not getting anything. You're listening to demons. That's why you have partial truth and the rest of it is lies out of the pit of hell. Like somebody that was invading Tracy Banks' anus and is going to have a conversation with me. That's a lie out of hell, sweetie. You need to stop listening to demons. You're listening to the gang stalkers. You are a monitoring spirit. And this is a message to help you because you need deliverance. You need deliverance right now. And you are also sharing in what is targeting with the U.S. government that utilizes things just like that on the venue of the internet to target American citizens who are naive, who will listen to those lies, who fall underneath those spells that you are under. Listening to demons whispering in your ears, giving you messages. And you're talking about ancestors. You're talking about listening to the ancestors. Those are demons. You are all outside of the Word of God, where you are vulnerable to spiritual attacks. And it starts with your mind when you're listening to it in the first place. And then you're sharing it amongst the public. In other words, misleading others, for which there was also a penalty. But I'm going to digress there. Jason Isaac Fields is a pedophile. He's a murderer. He's a thief. And you have engaged in what is trying to take my life. And you sat there and watched me. That's why this is why I'm still sleeping outside right now. This is not because there's some necessity of me being outside into a specific day. Oh, no. They are trying to kill and gang stalk me because they are trying to avoid what is inevitable. You will never, ever have a conversation with me. Ever. The only exchange that will be in a court one, because I will be testifying against this pedophile, Jason Fields. He's going to prison and he needs to be there. He's mentally ill. Satan has had a field day. His mind is gone. His body is infected. And Satan and all the Jezebels that he's had sex with, male and female. Okay. His humiliation is that which he has reaped because it's based on the truth. And what he is what the rest of the entity, all the demons that are stalking me in helicopters, those are all his co-defendants, all of his cult members that he's targeting with. This is literally what he signed up for. This is somebody that I met at Valley College. A little bony, large forehead. He had a big old vein in the middle of his forehead. He was nothing but head. And you're talking about taking steroids. You're talking about being demon possessed, physically changing his stature and his appearance, which he thinks is attractive. It's not. It's demonic. And with his vessel, Satan has been engaged in violating children, violating men and women, violating the lives of those that have a right to not be subject to it. And he does it while abusing a position that he was given by Satan. And what he also has is an inevitable sentence. He's going to prison. That's what you need to know while you are listening to what I find deplorable and despicable and disgusting, while you repeat the messages of Satan, who is only speaking through tarot cards. The Holy Spirit is not speaking through any tarot card reading. And this is not about your feelings. That's the truth. You can call yourself whatever you want because that's your ego speaking. Christ Jesus is not speaking through some tarot card, and I'm giving you, just like I'm speaking to the fact of the entity that is monitoring, you can ignore this message if you want as well. I'm also going to tell you the truth about the lies that you're speaking and the liar on whose behalf you're speaking. You're giving messages on behalf of Satan. You're psychologically torturing, you're sharing and targeting with the enemy and literally with the government that is operating through demonic spirits. These are possessed beings who utilize tarot card readings, who give messages to you that you then deliver, and then you're talking about the Holy Spirit. It has nothing to do with the Holy Spirit. You're as lost as these demons that are congregating in the fake church, and you think that you're different, and you're not. I don't know how many different ways but I'm not going to give it in some friendly manner. This is not about your feelings. You either receive the message, you hear it, or you don't. But you will not be able to say that you did not get the message. Jason Isaac Fields will never be in my presence. It's not going to happen. It is impossible. You've had sex with a child ever. You've had sex with a man ever. You had sex with a relative ever. You engaged in what is sitting around watching me being poisoned while I'm sleeping outside. You stole from me. It's never going to happen. It will never happen. Ever. And that is literally against scripture, and it's common sense, and it's against my will. You are out of your cotton picking mind. It will never, ever happen. This is somebody who is suffering the consequences, and I want to be clear. You deserve exactly what's happening to you. Because what I'm thinking about is everybody else that's already died while you were targeting them, while you were having sex rituals with males and females and animals, and old and young males and females, while you were having sex with children, and you were targeting somebody and they're dead. It worked on them. I don't care about how sorry you are. Of course you're sorry. You need to be sorry. You're going to be more sorry because the fate that you intended for another is what's happening to you. Glory to God. That's justice. He is a God of justice. This is an entity that is disgusting with regard to how the levels of the blindness that I'm seeing. And there is a time to where you need to be told outright what it is that you're doing, what you're participating in, because typically the people you're doing it to, they don't survive. And you know that. You know that. You can stand on a soapbox. You don't have a soapbox to stand on trying to defend what are good intentions behind what is wicked, which the Lord God has pointed out as wicked. You cannot contend with the Lord God. You cannot contend with the Holy Spirit, who is not speaking through any tarot card reading. And the fact that you are lying, you are sharing and lying with demons who are moreover gang stalking, targeting. You're sharing in that demonic activity. You are a part of the demonic entity. You are speaking lies, things that will never come to fruition. This is the time that you are being told, because you are being seen in the physical, you're being seen in the spirit. You are being corrected. That's your decision whether you want to accept that correction or not. Step out of your pride, humble yourself. Christ Jesus is coming back. These people are going to burn in hell. Hell is real. You're not coming back as a caterpillar. You're not coming back as some celebrity's child. You are going to sit in eternity forever. You're going to be either in the presence of God or you're going to be in the absence, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, where child rapists sit. And they will experience what is the eternal judgment. And you're not different. You think that you're different, and you're not different. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:47 a.m. The entity is gang stalking under the fake sun. This is relevant to the evidence that I'm capturing. Remember, the entity is keeping the fake sun on Sunday. I'm at Bethel congregation. The fake sun's over me, where Upland police are stalking under the fake sun, and they do so boldly while they listen to me point out all those who are going to prison. And you're not helping while you are being disbanded, and your gang stalking partners like Landovar are going to prison, and an entire department, they're all out of a job, and they're being removed as terrorists. They're not getting any final check. They're not getting any retirement. They're not getting any 401k. These are gang stalkers that have been exposed as a whole city, and the entire means of surveillance are being removed from positions. They're all losing their employment. And Upland police gang stalking again while they listen to that truth. And that's okay. That's exactly where MARCELO BLANCO is being federally prosecuted, because he is documented specifically. Vehicle 226, P.O.C. The entity's engaging in this at what is 10:48 a.m. where the entity's keeping the fake sun over me while I'm at Bethel congregation. I'm at St. George Catholic Church while they're gang stalking. The entity's keeping that fake sun over me while I then go to Ovid Family Community Library, where the military is stalking me at Chevron, at IHOP, and at the Upland Public Library, where a population is already surrounded, a population of creatures who don't have any solution. All they do is stalk me and obsess and admit to their inferiority. And that is inferiority to Christ, to the Holy Spirit. They're a bunch of cockroaches in the spirit, monitoring my vagina, engaging in what is kidnapping while they want to sit around slobbering and obsessing over me. And their demise is sure. And it is public. It is necessarily public of what Satan is doing. And Satan is calling itself the Upland Police Department, and it is being disbanded. P.O.C. Stalking with the Upland Police Department is Amazon. Those cowards are making a turn while I'm approaching, and that's the end. I don't need it. I already have it. You already know what Amazon is doing. Amazon is gang stalking. Amazon is a terrorist. Amazon is your enemy. Amazon is selling you products that's keeping you under surveillance. And it's the same with FedEx and UPS that I'm regularly documenting gang stalking me, using their demon-possessed employees in their vehicles, and that is on the roads and the highways, and using planes, keeping me under surveillance. And those companies are being federally prosecuted, targeting with the city of Upland, targeting with the city of Ontario, and there are demons engaging in that, a national security threat under things like a fake sun and a fake moon, while the entity is stalking by helicopter. And that's getting to how you are prosecuting the corporate entity. Amazon Prime is letting you know what every other company in the state of California is engaging, what the companies, the corporate entities on the venue of the internet are sharing in. And it is criminal surveillance. P.O.C. It is currently 10:49 a.m. while the Upland police are showing the worthiness of being disbanded. And that's exactly what's happening. There are child rapists that are stalking, and they're doing so while they are being surrounded with the evidence, which is serving for what is being committed. They're not just going to be disbanded. You're talking about what is going to be commitment. You're going to look at Landovar, keeping his back to me. That's a psychopath. That's not somebody that's ignoring you. That's a psychopath that's stalking. That's a demon that is looking dead at me while keeping his back to me. Remember, that's a creature. Okay, but you're going to prosecute with tangible evidence, and that's psychotic when you are stalking somebody and putting your back to them. Is that supposed to be evidence that you're not stalking me? Okay, that's delusion. That is psychopathic. That's obsessive, because they refuse to abandon stalking, meaning stop stalking me. When I'm capturing on video, that's an indication that I don't want you to be stalking, and you are wearing a police uniform to get away with stalking under the guise of helping what are the people of the state who are the light-slinging gargoyles themselves stalking with that police department. That is the entity that's going to be committed. That's the entity that's stalking a helicopter. You are putting your back to me. Why? When it's already known that you are the same entity that's stalking by helicopter everywhere that I go, day and night, you're going to be committed. The Upland Police Department is being disbanded without any pay. And everyone documented engaging in kidnapping, engaging in what is harassment and psychological torture, i.e. criminal summoning. You think that that's a good idea, and they're all going to prison. All of them. They're on the record. You can look them up on YouTube, because they're all going to federal prison. Okay, and they share in the same lawlessness and the same disregard. The demons, the creatures that in their sick minds give them horrible ideas because you're going to be embarrassed when I'm prosecuting you and your name is going to be routed off on court TV. It's not a game, and this is the entity. It's not just you, idiot. It's your family. They're not getting a dollar. Nobody's crying for you. These are the things that the intangibles that they are not thinking about, and that's because they are creatures. They're not humans. The humans that are possessed by these creatures, they're the ones that are going to be crying, but it's not going to happen until they're experiencing that. While I'm telling them now, the creatures that are possessing them are giving them ideas, giving them horrible ideas to engage in what is continuously targeting me, and I'm the one that's prosecuting the creatures that are using them. Remember, Satan is the one that's using Upland Police, and I'm disbanding them. Satan is the one that's using Ontario Police, and I'm disbanding them. Satan is the one that's using the U.S. military, and they are all being removed from the positions that they hold. They're going to be prosecuted in military tribunals, and they're being committed. Satan is the one that's using the people to say they're being prosecuted. They're being identified as the roaches that they are. An infestation in California is what is being rated. An infestation. And I mean that term in both ways. Figuratively and literally, they are being raided. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:52 a.m. This is the entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring evidence. While I walk outside of this library in the evening, like I did yesterday evening, and the entity is maintaining surveillance, coming and using the computer every day faithfully, coming to work every day faithfully, coming and sitting and engaging in surveillance in the parking lot faithfully, people that I don't even see, coming and sharing and keeping me under surveillance. All of that entity, the Lord God is seeing all of it, and every aspect of it is being prosecuted. Every aspect is being exposed, and the entity is being federally prosecuted. And terrorists like Jason Fields, who cannot undo or apologize for, there will be no conversation. There will be no exchange. And you're going to prison regardless. You're not getting out of this. You're going to federal prison, says I, the one that is prosecuting you. This is the P.O.C. It's 10:53 a.m. under the fake sun at the Upland Public Library, P.O.C. Alrighty, as you are witnessing criminal summoning at Chevron as I'm capturing video, criminal summoning at Upland Public Library as I'm documenting again under the fake sun, and the entity engaging in criminal summoning while I walk through the Upland Public Library, Sheena and Anthony. And I'm going to document the rest of these defendants who are going to prison, engaging in criminal summoning together with the patrons who are a bunch of gang stalkers inside of the library, including the serial stalkers who are going to prison as well. This is P.O.C. This is Alyssa. They're all engaged in criminal summoning. These are a bunch of psychopaths that are just stalking in the library all day long, maintaining presence. Let me check out a laptop. Let me check out a book. Let me go into the bathroom and maintain surveillance while the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning. Again, it is 10:58 a.m. And again, that's Anthony. That is Sheena. Anthony, that's gang stalking by helicopter at the 7-Eleven. And his license plate is documented in the PDF uploaded for the Upland Public Library defendants who are going to prison as employees. He's also targeting here. And he's the one that is, that is targeting inside of the venue. Okay, Adam Tuckerman also. Remember, Sheena and Alan are on video gang stalking under the afternoon light source that's remaining over the same staircase. I just captured that video. I believe that was the 21st, July 21st. And they are giving me on video the wipes while the fake sun is over me. Those are the psychopaths that are gang stalking in the morning shift, where Adam Tuckerman is engaged in what is psychological torture pursuant to what is the entity that intends to criminally defame you and claim that you're crazy, as they engage in the unabated program of psychological torture, which is supposed to cause you to go crazy. This is the malice behind what Adam Tuckerman and all the gang stalkers that are inside, including the serial stalkers that like to sit around and monitor. They're going to be committed while they're going to prison for that. They're all sharing in the sex act of what is monitoring genitalia in the bathroom as well, in concert with Adam Tuckerman, who is also here during this morning shift. And they are also literally prosecuted by their work schedule. So you work the morning shift and you also work in the afternoon, where that fake sun is 6 hours later over the same building. This is the entity that's engaged in that. So the entity engaged in repetitious criminal summoning. These are the demons that are hostile and psychopaths engage in things that which are only speaking to their mental illness, which is relevant evidence to prosecute them, and also which is relevant to damages, which is going to exhaust the city, which is going to be defunded while they are engaging in that. It's criminal activity while you are engaging in surveillance with the people whose faces I'm looking at, who are literally serving direct consequences for it. But nonetheless, this is what the entity is doing upon my entrance: repeated criminal summoning, as I am in Upland, at the Chevron, at the
up in public library outside, and then upon movement on the inside, and all these demons are stalking. This is the entity that is focused on me, and I'm the one that's prosecuting. I'm not the ordinary targeted individual where the ordinary circumstances that they are engaging in psychological torture, which is executed by stalking you with the sound of sirens as you make any move, as you engage in trying to report, and nobody's going to believe what you're reporting. The entity is defaming you while they are not going to take your report seriously. They want you to report it so that they can then depict you as being one that is hallucinating and is paranoid while they engage in psychological torture tactics such as stalking with the use of sirens under the fake sun while they're all pacing all around you and smiling and behaving as though nothing is happening and you are imagining it. This is the entity that's going to be committed. It's very highly malicious what Adam Tuckerman, Sheena, Kiki, Alan, Alyssa are engaging in. These are the demons that were monitoring the entire time I was outside on Euclid Avenue, documenting the pattern of conduct. And they are also all working in the 6 and 7 hours later under the fake sun, working and closing the library after 7 p.m. And that fake sun is still here. They're all going to prison. Period. This is the P.O.C. It's 12:17 p.m. while they're engaging what is harassing me upon gang stalking me and furtherance of my murder. And they have also shared in what is the repeated attempted murder with the military that are stalking me by helicopter all night. Kiki's going to federal prison for what I'm documenting her engaging in while she is working at the Upland Public Library. And she is the entity gang stalking me at the Ovid Family Community Library last night. This is the entity that's engaged in that ceaseless system. And that's why she's going to prison. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in surveillance. The exact same circumstances you saw Anthony stalking in this morning, engaging in criminal summoning. Doing so, you can see the light on the wall, the light on the floor. They're all engaging in surveillance with the entity that engages in what is sounding sirens as the podcast is being published. This is of the fake sun while I'm standing in front of the library this morning during the 9 a.m. hour, the 10 a.m. hour. This is the P.O.C. These are psychopaths that are engaged in criminal surveillance, vagina monitoring, and furtherance of murder, and they're engaged in what is merely presence while the entity is pacing around the library all day long while the employees are actually in the venue facilitating it. All the employees are going to prison. Anthony is gang stalking this morning as I documented my podcast, giving me the laptop, pacing around me, stalking in my face conspicuously with the entity that is sounding sirens, doing so at approximately 5:15 p.m. as I'm publishing the podcast, which is being prepared to be, as I'm processing it, preparing to publish it. And you're looking at what is criminal presence in the path. This is the people of the state that are stalking with the entity that's maintaining helicopter activity, commercial planes, serial stalking at more than one venue, and also engaging what is stalking in the bathroom while harassing as they are engaging in sexual violence with that entity. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct with impossible light activity that's both on the second floor and it's on the floor and it's above Anthony's head that is gang stalking an employee. Okay, this is the entity that is gang stalking you while maintaining surveillance inside of the library. They do the same thing by maintaining surveillance by going into the bathroom, and this is the entity that's engaging the mentally ill that you see operating AMR vehicles and Upland Police Department vehicles. I'm operating the Metrolink train station. I'm at the same address while you're looking at what was evidence in the video of Chevron gang stalking. This is the P.O.C., the entity engaged in criminal summoning, and this is the entity that I documented this morning. Alan, you have what is the entity that's gang stalking with the employee Sheena, what is Alyssa, and the entity that's engaged in everything that is uttered out of a demon's mouth is the entity speaking as one. They will be committed, but they are also going to federal prison for every syllable that comes out of their mouth. It's all audible activity designed to monitor. Okay, that's the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in this conduct with all of the employees who are going to federal prison. This is a psychopath. He's gang stalking with the entity by helicopter in the morning at the 7-Eleven. The 7-Eleven that I pass en route to this venue. The venue that's takes sun over it right now. This is P.O.C. It's 5:19 p.m. This is the obsession of the demon possessed who are gang stalking. P.O.C.
All right, it is currently 5:44 p.m. and you can see the image of the fake sun as I am at the entrance of the Upland Public Library exiting, and you can see the fake sun over the gang stalkers or the people that stay in the same exact crime scene that was present. That would be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 hours ago. Where the Upland Police are engaged in criminal summoning, American Medical Response is engaged in criminal summoning. The Metrolink is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, doing so while making money. It is literally gang stalking and facilitating gang stalking, which is the criminal conspiracy to commit murder that's Los Angeles County, Southern California Railway Authority, and Metrolink, which is a corporate entity engaging in what is profiting from the system of surveillance that California is engaging in, with the U.S. military that is stalking by planes and helicopters, okay? The entity is engaged in what is psychopathic amongst what are the infantile. Again, the entity that is mentally ill, the entity that are child rapists, the entity that are stalkers, co-conspirators of murder, are extraordinarily juvenile and sophomoric, very childish. It's very disturbing that they carry guns and they get past an academy, and yet they have the emotional maturity and the actual maturity of 6-year-olds. The entity is repeatedly engaged in criminal summoning, as I documented. What that actually is are demons, creatures, who are possessing people who are in positions that they are unfit to be in, not only because their criminal activity and the criminal purpose of that entire department, but because of their condition, their mental illness, and which is also proven while they're engaging in the criminal system of gang stalking. So the entities engaged in what is repetitious criminal summoning inside, just like they were this morning upon my entry. This is what they were doing upon my processing the podcast, which this entity, the city of Upland, is criminally keeping under surveillance. This is the city of Upland, all the ways in which the city of Upland is being prosecuted, interfering with an ongoing investigation pursuant to what is targeting an American citizen for terrorism. No terrorist, in other words, is going to interfere with an investigation with the prosecution of itself. No government is going to do that. This is what the entity is doing. The entity shall be prosecuted for it. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in what is repetitious criminal summoning. These are the demons that, again, lacking any level of actual fitness to be in the positions that they are being removed from by virtue of this investigation. There will be no Upland Police Department. I've shown the Upland Police Department is not even a police department. And the entity is engaged in what is repetitious criminal summoning as I am processing the podcast on my device inside of the library that has the fake sun still sitting over the roof, while psychopaths like Anthony and the rest of the demons are sitting around staring at books and computer screens, just sitting around monitoring my physical movement, monitoring my heartbeat, monitoring my breathing pattern, monitoring how many times I blink, monitoring my vagina, stalking my every move inside of that library. On behalf and in concert with the demons that engage in sounding sirens because they are fearful. That's fear. While they engage in very sophomoric and childish conduct, sounding the sirens. Oh, I'm documenting it. Oh, you're documenting. You better document this. That's essentially what a child is stating. Oh, you better document this because I'm going to sound the sirens again. Oh, you better document this because I'm going to sound the sirens again. And while the entity is maintaining that energy, understand the energy of the military tribunal, understand the energy of the federal laws that are going to surround serial killers and child rapists who are kidnapping, engaging in treason, engaging in what is domestic terrorism as an entity, and the program of psychological torture while they are mentally ill, engaging in that. This is what an entity is engaging in while they are monitoring, in other words, the evidence. That is to prosecute them, not for stealing candy bars from 7-Eleven, but for gang stalking and furtherance of murdering, targeting any American citizen. And that's the level of maturity that is gang stalking, and doing so operating ambulances, operating fire trucks, operating police vehicles. You know exactly who they are when they're sounding sirens. It's very specific, and they expose themselves. While they are gang stalking, while they are present under a fake sun, engaging in what is an unpersuasive act, because that's what it is an act under the fake sun. There is nothing that looks like you're engaging in actual law enforcement or police. As much as they surround and engage in that under the fake sun, everyone's looking at the actors who are the demon possessed. And while they maintain that act, they're going to be committed. That's absolutely psychotic, what the entity is doing. And it is the system of surveillance that's underway in the state of California. License plate 9UCJ165 is gang stalk with the entity that's stalking by commercial planes, which is what I documented this morning. While this entity is under a fake sun, as I am crossing paths with the same gang stalking establishments. That includes 7-Eleven. That includes IHOP. That includes Chevron. While this entity was maintaining that ongoing criminal surveillance system with a bunch of demons who are stalking in California on the roads and the highways. Monitoring is what the population of thieves and child rapists do in California. They're not focused on working hard. They're not focused on earning. They're not focused on minding their business and enjoying privacy. They are monitoring in California. That's why a fake sun is over the same street. That's why the airline industry is stalking in a whole city where there are no commercial planes or airports. That's why the entity is engaging in what is the use of sirens monitoring me and a building where a fake sun sits over it, because the people of the state in California, the government itself, is engaged in what is surveillance. These are demons. And this is the criminal system that demons engage in. Monitoring. Monitoring is pursuant to what is gang stalking. The entity is gang stalking those that it is obsessed with. And they are monitoring as lower beings. So this is what the entity is engaging in while I'm inside of the Upland Public Library, and it's very clear with regard to prosecution. Everybody inside, including Anthony, that you will see under the fake sun during the 11 a.m. hour, the entity is stalking by sirens, and you will see him under the fake sun during the 5 p.m. hour upon my exit. Well, you'll see the engineer light and him under the fake sun, and he's going to federal prison. All right, the entities engaging in this while they are serving to prosecute each other. And the entities engaging in that, I want to make sure that I hone in on that, because this is the exact same crime scene as I walk in the opposite direction on the same street, and the government is engaging what is all that the government can do. And this is speaking to what is not the government. The government has an actual definition and purpose in the United States. I'm prosecuting a corrupt entity that has been masquerading as having authority that it does not have, and then engages in what is abusing and exercising fictitious authority when you do not comply with that unlawful system. And for that, you will be prosecuted as a terrorist, not one that has any actual authority under the state and federal constitutions. The entities engage in what is gang stalking in concert with a people of the state who are likewise absent and devoid of any authority whatsoever, and they certainly have no privacy while they're violating the privacy and human rights of others. Okay? This is the entity that is engaged in that. It is currently, while you hear Metrolink gang stalking, slight activity. Metrolink is gang stalking at what is 5:51 p.m. P.O.C. Metrolink is monitoring, just like they were this morning, facilitating that pattern of conduct. And this is LA County that is gang stalking. I'm capturing images of this right now. It is criminal activity. It's P.O.C. And while you're witnessing that, it is the elements of monitoring, and the entities engage in the exact same criminal activity that they were engaging in this morning while I'm capturing gang stalking by Chevron. The exact same criminal pattern of conduct, while Metrolink is a train line that's operating under the fake sun in the environment. That is systematic surveillance underway by another corporate entity, which is also the public entity. Okay? Gang stalking is also Upland Police. Over here, gang stalking me with Upland Police. Rialto Police, as a matter of fact. License 158-6533, I believe. That's the P.O.C. Rialto Police are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and a demon is honking their horn when I'm not in the street with their turn signal on. They're monitoring with the Rialto Police Department. Rialto Police engaging in what is kidnapping on Monday, July 13, 2026. The Rialto Police Department is going to be dealt with accordingly. Rialto Police engaging in kidnapping with Lisa Rogan. They like to, in any way that they can, interject themselves in what is gang stalking me pursuant to a statewide system. Rialto Police, that entire agency, is stalking me while they are coming to what is the city of Upland under the fake sun, just like Chino Police is under the fake sun, just like the Upland Police Department is gang stalking me in Ontario under the fake sun. That agency is targeting, including while I'm in Rialto, California, which is almost never. I have not been to Rialto. Rialto Police have to go out of their way to gang stalk me upon kidnapping by the Ontario Police Department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, which is why Michael Lowe is going to federal prison. And they are doing so pursuant to what is documentation of their criminal activity. These are hostile demons that go out of their way. Oh, she's over here. And you know that it is that specific because the entity is keeping a fake sun over me. Rialto Police are targeting while Metrolink is facilitating that, doing so with the city of Upland on Euclid Avenue, where you know the fake sun is over me literally this morning. I can use that evidence to prosecute that entire agency. It is engaged in kidnapping. They are engaged in kidnapping. The latest kidnapping that Rialto Police are engaging in is July 13, 2026. And this is a department to be disbanded. Okay, this is the P.O.C. They like to go to San Bernardino County or West Valley and pace around me in the parking lot under the fake sun. These are demons that are obsessed with me. These are demons sharing in state surveillance. These are demons that are monitoring my vagina. And this is letting you know that it is a statewide system, and they merely come to wherever I'm located in order to participate in worshiping me. Those are creatures, not actual government authorities. Government authorities are not stalking you. Government authorities are not obsessing over you. Government authorities are not humiliated by that fact that is supposed to be maintained as a secret. Government authorities are not conspiring your murder. Government authorities are not trying to frame you for criminal activity that they have committed. Government authorities are not actually criminals themselves, raping children, stalking and maintaining a criminal record that they seek to conceal by the system of surveillance. That's what describes the Rialto Police Department. They are being federally prosecuted while I am prosecuting their gang stalking brethren, such as the Ontario Police, the Los Angeles Police, the Upland Police, the Pomona Police, the Fontana Police Department, the Chino Police Department, the Kern County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, San Diego Police Department, the Costa Mesa Police Department, and the Azusa Police Department, etc., etc. The Rialto Police Department are already prosecuted. Them crossing paths right now is evidence of the statewide system and the Rialto Police Department's obsession with my vagina. They're sex offenders. And they do not have a job, and since they're engaged in gang stalking, there will not be a department. And everyone that I expose, you are losing a job. You're not engaging in that job, or whatever you use to gang stalk, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. Newsflash to you. While you're engaging in that pattern of conduct to your own demise, your obsession is your downfall, and it betrays you. It is currently, by the way, under the fake sun, it's 5:56 p.m. at 8th Street in Euclid, where Metrolink, that is the threat that Metrolink poses. Metrolink is conspiring against an American citizen, gang stalking by virtue of its business, operating a train line, in other words, under a fake sun, and Metrolink is engaging in that, and that intent is shown through that environment. And the entity is doing so while Metrolink operates within its published schedule, and Metrolink also targets outside by operating outside of its published schedule as well. It is a domestic terrorist. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:56 p.m. Alrighty, this is pathetic. This is the entity that is stalking, and Rialto police are stalking with them. Rialto Police Department is being federally prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. This is the fake where it is in alignment, and I'm documenting the diversified landscaping employees license right here in the morning under the fake sun where they're gang stalking. They are already going to prison for stalking me at the 10 freeway off of San Antonio with the same U.S. military, the Upland Police, and the people of the state, license 9HLH 852. That's federal prison. That's a Caucasian couple. That's the pattern of conduct. It is currently, by the way, this is entirely pathetic. This is the entity that's entirely pathetic. But you need to know who's gang stalking. All of these venues are gang stalking, and I'm prosecuting Vantage Property Management. They are getting a playlist for ongoing terrorism, systematically documented right here, that they are sharing in with the military that is speaking to what is all of your liability, civilly and criminally. Take it up with the government that you're gang stalking with, because I'm prosecuting you. It is currently 6:02 p.m. P.O.C. All right, what you are focused on while this entity, as I'm capturing it, I'm stating it's pathetic in the video evidence because it is entirely pathetic. That's what's repeatedly stalking with the sound of sirens, and then stalking by Rialto Police Department because I called out all the vagina monitors of AMR, Upland Police, and San Bernardino County Fire. They're one unified entity. What Rialto Police versus Ontario Police versus Upland Police is the same identical entity, with the cult members of the military that are stalking with the state through the cities, as I've shown, and they're engaging in this pattern of conduct. All of them demons, all of them sharing what is criminal engagement and targeting under a fake sun by necessity, with regard to what is logic and common sense that even your children reaching the 5th grade can understand and comprehend and recognize that the sun would not be, for example, over the same person, let alone the person that is on the same street walking in the opposite direction that they walked 8-9 hours earlier, and that being the same environment. Okay, this is what an entity is engaging in. What you're mindful of is this is an entity that has engaged in these are the demons, this is the entity, this is the government. These are the ones that perjured themselves in court about my character. These are the ones that accused me of being a drug addict and tried to find a basis to extend and create what is a conservatorship, a power of attorney over me. And this is an entity that does that. Gang stalking is never a basis to establish mental illness. So by virtue of the fact that this is what the entity has been engaging in, gang stalking, and that was what they relied upon, you're stalking and torturing somebody, and you rely upon that to establish mental illness. This is showing you that it is a state system, and the very entity, the comprehensive evidence of an entity that targeted through the medical field, through the legal field, through law enforcement, through the population, public corruption, through the corrupt businesses, the corporate entity, they're all being federally prosecuted for conspiring my murder, seeking to silence me by repeatedly engaging in attempted murder, injecting my body with poisons, trying to kill me, trying to silence me. And then you are looking at them in clear sight. What courtroom is going to give any of the entity, anyone, conservatorship over me while I'm showing you the entity stalking me by helicopters in this manner. Stalking as a department, doing so in the environment. These are the mentally ill, and they have engaged in what is exhibiting that through the ongoing psychological breakdown, which is the evidence of the P.O.C. while this entity is stalking. Population, stalking on the roads and the highways, the people of the state are having a psychological breakdown in your presence. These are demons that are obsessive, and they've committed attempted murder as a city, as a state. They've engaged in what is kidnapping as a state. They're engaged in stalking as a state. And it's the federal government doing so, gassing up black helicopters flying over me again. Flying over me again. This is the entity that's lying on my character. That's what you're mindful of, and that's why it's so pathetic. This is an entity that would never get any sort of conservatorship. The only one that was able to retrieve one is the one that's engaging in the state system of surveillance, federal group stalking, and monitoring. Nobody was tricked or lied to. This is the execution of a system, a comprehensive system, which they engage in this to celebrities who are subject to this. You have the entity that targets whoever it is that has anything that the entity wants to steal from you, or wants to target you because you are a witness and they want to get rid of you, or they're engaging in what is their customary sacrifices, just killing somebody in the middle of the road on a skateboard, like what LAPD is doing in Los Angeles, turning on their sirens and running over the people of the state. This is an entity that's engaging in what is defaming my character while you're looking at them stalking me under a fake sun that's over me at that same location in the middle of the day. And the fake sun and the entity targeted by helicopter are both crucial with regard to what is well beyond a prima facie case. This is an entity that's engaged in that. Do not forget that. This is an entity that perjured themselves regarding my character, and you're looking at them stalking in that manner. You're looking at them doing so while they are already proven to be guilty of that which they have tried to frame me for. These are the murderers that tried to assert. You wanted to rely on the Ontario police to frame me for murder. The Ontario police that are stalking. The Ontario police that, while the entity is stalking like this by planes and helicopters, then approaches me in my face as though you have authority under the law, and moreover, as though I'm doing anything wrong in the first place. I'm not. And moreover, if I was, the Ontario police are not engaged in law enforcement. This is an entity that's engaging in what is criminal activity. And their criminal acts, they've tried to frame me for being guilty for it. And they are obviously stalking in this manner. I just captured images right now, which you will see. If you didn't hear the helicopter activity, you'll see the image of the entity stalking by helicopter while I am crossing paths with the people of the state at 1214 North Euclid Avenue, who is being federally prosecuted for attempted murder as an entity, for kidnapping as an entity, for conspiracy to murder as an entity, for federal stalking. All right, for the crimes against humanity, in other words, gang stalking is inhumane criminal activity. For being a domestic terrorist, all of this you do not have a defense for. The fake sun and engineered light covers your place of domicile. Engineered light, you are monitoring. And claiming that you're ignorant and you don't know about it is not a defense. You're being federally prosecuted, and it's already established that this population is very much aware of it and are sharing in that. And the entity is doing so in concert with them while following me around in helicopters. Okay, underscoring that they are mentally ill. This is what that entity is doing. What it is telling you about the entity. Anthony, you need to understand, this is an entity. This is the conspiracy. This is what I was expounding upon this morning. Anthony is the entity that perjured himself regarding my character in court. Court that has nothing to do with what is the legitimate operations of a courtroom, that has no jurisdiction over me or my property, that engaged in what is that criminal act in my absence intentionally, with knowledge, targeting just like this, while they were asserting that I am mentally ill. And the court is asserting, this government is asserting that I'm mentally ill, while they rely on the people of the state, demons like Anthony, to sit in a courtroom and perjure themselves regarding my character. Which, by the way, is also legally irrelevant while you are gang stalking me. But moreover, this is under no circumstances any mental illness that I suffer from, and targeted individuals are not mentally ill because you are gang stalking. That's literally what the government is engaging in. Okay? This is what an entity is engaging in. While you're looking at that and you see that video, you hear it on the podcast, and I'm speaking to the truth, how pathetic it is. This is pathetic. This is pathetic. What conservatorship are you going to acquire? What power of attorney are you going to acquire by stalking in this manner? We can count, let me see, stalking by helicopter at Chevron at 7:20 p.m. yesterday. Stalking by helicopter over my head at Overfamily Community Library after 9 p.m. Stalking over my head, flying in circles again by helicopter at the same Overfamily Community Library. Then stalking by the Ontario police, who are again monitoring. This is because they're fearful of what they are criminally keeping under surveillance. So this is the entity that's engaging in obstruction of justice upon the criminal act in the first place. And then you're fearful of what I'm going to publish anyway. You're not achieving or acquiring any conservatorship. This is speaking to what is the government's illegitimate interest. The government has no proper interest in, by virtue of this criminal surveillance system, the government has no legitimate interest in conservatorships. The government is not in any position to present anyone with the authority to lord over the property of another without their consent. And consent is not that which the government is stating that any target individual is rendering. It is very basic. If you say no, nobody else can lord over your property, and that the government that is engaging in this surveillance system, stalking in this manner, targeting, manipulating the facts and circumstances of your life in order to do so, to make you appear on paper, while they abuse law enforcement, while they abuse the legal field, the legal profession, while they abuse the medical profession in order to do so, that is a government that has removed itself from any ability to have exercise jurisdiction over any American citizen's money and property and assets. While the entities engage in that sort of manipulation, I am not the first person. This is a system. That's why you have those that are not practicing medicine by definition, by virtue of gossip, of a HIV-infected cult, engaging in what is defaming my character while they're stalking in this obvious manner. This is an entity that's engaging in it. At the same time, you're stalking in this pathetic manner. The helicopter soaring in the sky over the top of my head at the 10 freeway and up in California under a fake sun. Absurdly psychotic. The ones that are consuming human flesh and feces, they're stalking me in this manner, gassing up planes and helicopters to do so. And you are, again, delusional about any conservatorship or power of attorney that you are going to renew. And I want to be clear, Jason Isaac Fields' many sex partners, including his spouse, including Tracy Banks, they're going to federal prison. This is an entity that has been maintaining a conservatorship fraudulently in concert with the people of the state. That's why they are incentivized, they are motivated to gang stalk me. This is a system whereby the entity has essentially got a lottery, and they target as a system, and they send the target individual to California, they send the target individual to New York, they send the target individual to Florida, et cetera, et cetera. They send the target individual to Nevada. All these states are monitoring, by the way. That's why I'm calling them out. The entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and this entity, those demons, Tracy Banks, whoever is this HIV-infected whore that is coupled with Jason Isaac Fields, who I am not the least interested in your homosexual spouse, that I'm not interested in, never was. You're obsessing over me, and you obsessed over someone that I do not want. That's what's wrong with you. While you've been stealing from me, you're going to prison, and that's where you're going to expire. Okay? This is an entity that's engaging in that, and this is not going to result in any legitimate conservatorship, which is how this government engages in business. This is how this government engages in it. This is what the Rialto Police Department are engaged in. By gang stalking, theft of property, identity, your reputation, while they sexually violate you and then sit back and torture you and then call you mentally ill. And you don't even have that evidence against me. You don't have me having any sort of crash out, if you will. I'm referencing the vernacular with regard to having a psychological breakdown out in public. That's what these demons are doing when they're stalking me by helicopter and stalking me by impossible light and engaging in what is lashing out at me and screaming at the top of my lungs and engaging in criminal summoning for no reason. Nothing happened. Oh no, you're having the psychological breakdown. You're engaging in what is a crash out. You're freaking out. And I'm supposed to be the one that's having some sort of paranoid, schizophrenic episode. But you're the one that's making these unfounded allegations all the time, exhibiting severe paranoia. Making allegations about, are you clairvoyant? How do you know what I'm doing on the opposite side of my phone? While you are engaging in the exact same thing in custody of a phone, which does not mean that I'm focused on you, but because you are focused on me and because you are a demon that's monitoring and you know that I am prosecuting you. That's why you're engaging in that. While the entity is already prosecuting you for me because you're stalking me obsessively in this pathetic manner with helicopters like what you just listened to over the 10 freeway and up in California. I want to be clear. The entity that sought to perjure my character and thought that gang stalking was how you're going to get a conservatorship over somebody, everybody in that camp's going to prison. And I want to be clear, many of them are HIV infected, including the ones that are stalking in the planes and helicopters. They're burning between their legs. They're burning between their legs. Their groins are inflamed, and they're stalking until the bitter end. Okay? They've engaged in what is casting spell work, and this is relevant to the spiritual realm. They've engaged in casting spell work, black magic, death magic, that's going to afflict their demon-possessed children that are cursed already, that have, in other words, no protection regarding the spirits, the demons that they sent to attack and take the lives of their own children. And that is justice. That's justice, where you think you're going to engage in what is another sacrifice of someone else you thought you were going to get over and get their money and take their life? Is someone cruel-hearted because you and yours are the one that's going to suffer that penalty? No, they're not cruel-hearted. That's not cruel-hearted at all. You won't see me applauding for it, but that's not cruel-hearted at all. That's exactly what you deserve. While you think that you're going to sit around sentencing someone, and I'm looking at the absurdity of your conduct. This is never anything that would be capable of occurring but for the corruption of the United States government. Demons that can't even spell, going in and perjuring themselves, which they don't know the definition of, are committing it, however, with the government that opens its courtroom doors while you're looking at that pathetic act of stalking me by helicopter. That's the U.S. government. That's maintaining court hearings. They are holding hands together. The demons stalking me in helicopters are holding hands with the demons that are holding courtroom hearings that are criminal acts. They are not legitimate court hearings. You are going to prison. You're going to federal prison. Michael Lowe's going to federal prison. Every single last one of you are gang stalkers, and you're going to prison. Let me revise that for you. You are going to federal prison for engaging in what is stealing from me by virtue of abusing your position. And everyone knows how that is executed. You are not separate from these gang stalking thugs out here on the street while you are wearing a robe and sitting on a bench. There's no coincidences here. There's no accidents here. And you are not ignorantly engaging in facilitating that. This is why they're so confidently engaging in it, because you need to go to prison for it. And that's exactly where you're going. This is how domestic terrorism is executed in the United States. That abuses the criminal justice system. Okay? That exploits the Constitution. You're going to prison for it. That's your prize. Stalking me by helicopters, all those judges are going to prison. All of them. You're going into the same prison that these gang stalking homeless demons are going to. You're going to the same one. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:23 p.m. That's the entity stalking me while I'm walking into Ontario under the fake sun. Where you saw everything. You heard what was discussed this morning on video while I'm at Chevron showing you a fake sun that's still there after 7. I'm not even in Ontario right now. I'm in Ontario. And the fake sun will not be in any location where you could see it outside of the doors of that Chevron while you are stalking me in a helicopter. And that crime scene follows me to a place where, they're going to be shaken in their boots when they're raided. Playing fake church has become very, very dangerous and expensive. P.O.C. while they're pacing in and out, impossible light activity while demons are monitoring. All right, this is the P.O.C. I'm going to capture the fake sun right here. This is the entering me and doing so while that entity stalks me by helicopter. They're doing so at a fake church monitoring. This is the P.O.C. It's 6:23 p.m.
This is the entity that was stalking in Upland, California by helicopter. And this is Leo, that is gang stalking. He's going to prison with the Ontario Police Department last night and with the people of the state, with John Stewart Company, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, University of Laverne College of Law. On the opposite side of this building, gang stalking with the military, the Ontario Police by helicopter, in concert with Securitas and Leo, who's going to prison, is the entity that's engaging in that under the fake moon with MIG Real Estate on the opposite side. That's Metro 102 Apartments and GP Partners. That's Ontario Town Square Townhomes. You're all being federally prosecuted for gang stalking me, doing so as facilitating meetings where the people of the state are engaged in monitoring, and they're doing so, again, the mentally ill that are very much petrified by my evidence of their criminal activity. And as I even publish this video evidence, the entity repeats that psychopathic conduct. That's what the entity is doing, stalking me by helicopter all day long from Upland to Ontario. Talking about what is federal prison and Securitas, I am federally prosecuting you for gang stalking me through your employees who are paid a salary to engage in public corruption with the U.S. government, with the city of Ontario, while you are compensating. And this is compensating a terrorist that is engaging in criminal activity while you're looking at demons pacing all around. Securitas is being federally prosecuted. They're also stalking with the city of Ontario, Ontario Town Square, and also Sarah's Regis Group Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, and also Wells Fargo 240 North Euclid Avenue, while the entity is stalking by helicopter. And they are doing so pursuant to, don't forget what Leo did last night. While there is no time frame where I cannot use the Wi-Fi at this public venue, the Ontario Civic Center, but where the government cannot engage in what is domestic terrorism, federal stalking, harassment, and discrimination, while engaging in that pursuant to surveillance on my device in concert with a population that are gang stalking with it, the criminal is the government, and the criminal with the Ontario Police and that demon that didn't want to give his badge number, he's going to prison for that as well.
This is the criminal activity that they were engaging in together. The entity is doing so while they're monitoring my device, and these are demons under a fake moon. After the entity kept a fake sun over me all day long, and they're engaging in this pattern of conduct together as an entity, monitoring as one. And you are being federally prosecuted as corporate entities sharing in that pattern of conduct. Every one of your employees, every one of your residents, and the population itself are inside and around the venue where the government is flying all around. This is how you are engaging in gang stalking, and you are subject to criminal prosecution civilly and criminally for public corruption, that which you shall not profit from, nor participate or facilitate in any way. The entity is engaged in this at what is 9:05 p.m. and Leo's going to prison. He engaged in criminal summoning last night while he's a vagina monitor. And he's going to federal prison in order to teach all the rest of you, you engage in this and you're going to serve time in prison in a mental facility. P.O.C. (9BWZ013). That's an old white woman, a sex offender engaging in sexual assault and battery as an entity, stalking me at night and engaging in what is molestation while she is stalking on the roads and the highways, exhibiting mental instability in doing so. And she's doing so as an entity. These are all demons that are stalking with light as I'm traveling from place to place. This is the P.O.C. and that is 10:32 p.m. This is the entity stalking, following me around in the city, like I'm documenting, following me around to adjacent city. Evidence of following is the mentally ill that are doing so under the fake moon on the roads and the highways where they're sharing in that pattern of conduct. This is at what is Woodside Senior Apartments, which you already know are gang stalking. The same defendants in the units surrounding Tracy Banks' apartment, Unit 51, they're all going to prison. And you know that they're going to prison after they committed kidnapping on May 29, 2025. And since this entity committed that kidnapping, the ongoing pattern of conduct has shown that this is the exact same criminal activity that was underway inside of that apartment complex. They're all going to prison. All of them are going to prison. Units 48 through 64. These old people are getting locked up. Okay? This is the P.O.C. There is no age limit restriction. They certainly will not be receiving any more. You know who pays for these apartments? HUD housing, and you will not be receiving any HUD housing while you are gang stalking. And that's what you're doing when the corporate entity is under the specific environment where the military, where the U.S. government, where the state is engaging in surveillance, which is shown through that specific environment where you are being federally prosecuted civilly and criminally. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity stalking me by helicopter, the mentally ill that are putting Leo in prison. This is the pattern of conduct that Leo's engaging in while I'm at the Yoba Family Community Library. The entity that tends to engage in criminal summoning like Leo did last night, like Woodside Senior Apartments did in May of 2025, and they're paying the penalty for it. There is no statute of limitations. They've been watching that ongoing case accumulate against them, and every single last one of those senior citizens are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:45 p.m. This is Woodside Senior Apartments, and Tracy Banks still resides here, by the way. Jay Powers is gang stalking. UY853, handicap, gang stalking. 8934U, handicap, gang stalking. 9XEM745, gang stalking. All right, the demon that's in the unit above Tracy Banks, engaging with monitoring the entire time. 5WB715, that psychopathic demon, that vagina monitor, gang stalking. This is the fake moon that's over me while the entity is stalking by helicopter at Woodside Senior Apartments, where this entity committed kidnapping. All right, they're all engaging in the P.O.C. Here's my shadow here, and here's a shadow here. They're all inside of their apartments, aware of who I am and where what I'm doing, and also are monitoring my device. And the senior citizens in California are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And they are in violation of HUD rules in addition to federal law. They're engaging in domestic terrorism, and they will be federally prosecuted as the terrorists that they are. In this impossible environment, you are being federally prosecuted, Abanath Capital Management. This is the civil and criminal prosecution of Woodside Senior Apartments. The entity that is engaged in the pattern, every single last one of your residents, including you, are engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct, which the evidence already shows. To engage in more of it is relevant to what is impunity, which is assigned to you as well. This is the P.O.C., the entity stalking from place to place, 10:50 p.m. Criminal surveillance is what Abanath Capital Management and all of its residents are sharing in, and you're doing so in furtherance of murder. That's a criminal case against you, Abanath. And it's a criminal case against every single last one of the people of the state that reside here and that work here and that engage in it, while regardless of whether or not they are residents here. This is the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:51 p.m. where Woodside Senior Apartments engaged in gang stalking, and that is criminal activity. It's not based on whether you're a resident here, and that's impossible light activity while demons are stalking on the roads and the highways targeting me.
P.O.C.